things that go bump in the night. At Bristol, they also go bang, crunch, and crash. Should we be scared? Probably. But we just can't look away, can we?
What will the memorable bump in the night be tonight as the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series races 500 laps around the Bristol Motor Speedway? In the March race here, there was an early bump, bang, and crunch that took drivers like Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch out of contention. There was also a bump, flat tire, and crunch between Jeff Gordon and Dale Jr. that left a lot of folks talking. With places in the chase at stake, a bump in the night tonight could be costly.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats and join First Lieutenant Trent R. Callison from the Tennessee National Guard in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as the Tennessee Army National Guard presents our nation's colors. And now join us as driver of the number 98, Michael McDowell, offers tonight's invocation.
Would you pray with me? Dear Heavenly Father, just thank you for this amazing event and all the men and women that worked so hard to put this on. But more importantly, just thank you for all the men and women that serve this country, that keep us free here and allow us to do what we love. Most importantly, Lord, we just thank you for your son, Jesus, who took our place on the cross so that we could be free and that we could live with you. And we just thank you for that the freedom that we have to be new in Christ. And just bless the drivers, the competitors, and the fans. Keep us safe, and we'll give it in all your name. Amen.
In support of our troops, please place your right hand over your heart and welcome the MRO children as they perform our national anthem.
Electrifying moments of the season, the last moments before the green flag here at the Coliseum at Bristol Motor Speedway. The crowded grid, the children involved in the ceremonies, and now the drivers climbing aboard knowing they have a hard night's work ahead on the world's fastest half mile. So glad you've joined us for our coverage of the night race at Bristol. Alan Bestwick with the 97 winner of this race, Dale Jarrett, and Bristol winning crew chief Andy Petrie. These drivers have a big opportunity to win tonight, but to win, both driver and crew chief are going to have to work hard.
It's a long 500 laps around this half-mile racetrack. Things happening so quickly. You have to do everything pretty much right. It's going to take a lot of talent. It's also going to take a lot of luck to make all of these things happen. We watched Joey Logano last night get himself in a position to be able to restart on the outside where you want to be, work his way up to the front, take advantage of that. Then he got back in traffic trying to take the lead from Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, you can have the best car and still not be able to make this pass because the groove has moved up to the very outer edge.
He was able to make that pass whenever he boxed Harvick in behind some lap cars. You're going to have to make sure you get in the right lane, and hopefully luck will be on your side.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for the crews. You know about how hard it is It's so loud. It's so hard to make these decisions and when to make these pit stops. Last night we saw Joey Logano make a stop when nobody else did and got himself out of sequence. That's a bold move. It's risky because you start in the back on these restarts and you know how crazy it can get here, but it can pay off for you if you can get out front and get your car with good track position when it counts at the end of the race.
Be patient, be bold, be aggressive. An interesting mix on tonight at Bristol. A big win is at stake, and not just a big win. This could be a huge win.
Huge win for anybody that's going to victory lane. Whoever that driver and team is, it could be big for them in a lot of different ways. Just whether you're kind of already locked into the chase and you're just looking for those bonus points, or you're trying to keep yourself inside the top 10, are you trying to get that second victory that may allow you to be in the chase, or that first one that's going to help you attract the sponsorship that you need to get things set up for next year. So a huge night.
And you talk about how big it is to win here. Have you seen the trophy? That thing is huge, man.
So a huge trophy available for a huge win tonight at Bristol. We'll see how it all plays out. The drivers buckling into their cars, the command to start engines coming up for the night race at Bristol. The action begins in just moments.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup at Bristol on ABC. Brought to you by Sprint. Avoid a data dilemma with truly unlimited data. Go to sprint.com/speed.
The spectacular sight that is Bristol Motor Speedway, a racing stadium like no other, rising up around a little half-mile bull ring with banking as steep as Daytona. The night race at Bristol begins in just moments. What a scene as we get set to go 500 laps. So many potential winners, so many interesting stories throughout the field. Let's touch on a few here, beginning with Vince Welch.
When crew chief Gil Martin was replaced at the end of last season as the crew chief for Kevin Harvick, it hurt. He admits that. But when team owner Richard Childress came to him this week and asked him to return to that role, he agreed, saying the company has a chance to make the chase. We need all hands on deck. Rarely is there a quick fix in this business, but sitting 8th in points with 0 wins, Harvick is counting on Gil Martin to breathe new life into the 29's championship hopes. Dave Burns?
A win tonight would give Kyle Busch a great shot at making the chase, but the crew chief says they're not going to try something crazy to get it. 14th in the championship right now. They just need to have stronger runs than their wild card competition. 5-time winner at Bristol, Kyle thinks that tonight he'll expect nothing less than a strong run at Bristol. Dr. Jerry Punch?
Jeff Gordon knows the clock is ticking and time is running out for him to get into this year's chase. He knows he also needs to win, and tonight he'll do whatever he has to make that happen. Folks, remember back in 1990, Jeff Gordon and Rusty Wallace invented a little thing called the Bristol Bump and Run. So don't be surprised if Jeff Gordon does some bumping and a lot of running tonight to get this 24 back to victory lane. Mike Massaro.
Following his win last week, Greg Biffle said, "I know a lot of people don't expect me to win this championship." He continued by saying, "I don't care what people say. We will be a factor." Motivation level is very high for the current championship leader. Tonight he rolls off 3rd, looking for his first Bristol win. And something that comes along with it, Alan, respect.
Greg Biffle, all buckled in and ready to go before this big crowd. You can hear the noise they make at Bristol. Kind of feels like the atmosphere for a heavyweight stock car fight, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Yeah, I've heard somebody call this car wrestling here at this track. That's kind of appropriate.
Well, there's no better way to set the tone for a heavyweight stock car fight than by listening in on the special guest announcer the Speedway's brought in to get things started. Michael Buffer, the famous boxing and wrestling announcer, is down in victory lane. I'll bet I know what he's about to say.
Now here's Michael Buffer. And now the track is ready. The drivers are ready. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? NASCAR fans, are you ready? There's only one thing left to say. This is Bristol. So let's get ready to rumble.
And Detroit, we are indeed now ready to rumble at Bristol. And our ESPN in-race reporter tonight is ready to rumble. Carl Edwards is one of those drivers that a win tonight would be huge for. Carl, a two-time winner of the night race at Bristol, 2007 and 2008. If he can turn the hat trick tonight, he might score a place in the chase. Carl's got some work to do on the start, though. We'll talk with him on the pace laps next. We are ready to race, or ready to rumble, in Thunder Valley, Bristol Motor Speedway. It's the night race at Bristol for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, getting ready to begin just moments from now. Field of 43 rolling off onto the racetrack momentarily to begin what will be very quick parade and pace laps. Our ESPN in-race reporter tonight is the subject of our Amazing at Bristol, brought to you by Quicken Loans. Carl Edwards with a couple of wins. The night race here in 2007 and 2008. His average finish, pretty sporty. But he's starting pretty far back tonight if he's going to be amazing again. He's in 27th on the grid. Let's dial up our ESPN in-race reporter, Carl Edwards.
Carl, Dale Jarrett, ESPN. You have a copy?
I got a copy.
Hey, Carl, we were just looking at your amazing and outstanding record here at Bristol. We've talked about how difficult this race is mentally and physically. Do you prepare yourself any differently for this long, hard night?
The guys at CTS and my trainer and everybody, Dean, is, we try to be ready for these races, but that's the physical part. The mental part, I was just sitting here thinking about it. It's right now for our Fastenal team, it's just like a Saturday night special in Moberly, Missouri. I mean, I'm going here just to win this race. That's all we're here to do, and really, mentally, that makes it a lot simpler for us.
Carl, you kind of lead us into our mailbag question from Ethan from St. Johnsbury, Vermont. He asked, what does your team need to do, and what risk do you have to take to get wins and a shot at the wild card going into the chase?
That's a good question. We got to do everything we can. Basically, we just got to go out here and be as fast as we can. I've got to be as aggressive as I can. And what it's going to take is just doing those things and remembering that we have nothing to lose. We just got everything to gain by winning this race. That's the key.
Carl, a lot of talk about the racetrack in your practice session so far. You seen anything that concerns you?
I talked to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. a little bit right before this race, right before I got in the car. He told me some things about the track and the way it changed, but really there's not much different. It's going to be really tough to pass. And just like I said, I don't have much to lose. We've got everything to gain. There are a lot of guys in that position. There are guys that are locked in the chase. They don't really care what happens as long as they get a win. And there are guys like me who just need that win to get in. So I think we're going to see some wild racing tonight.
All right, Carl, we're going to follow you up through the pack and to the front. So you have a good night. Thanks for talking with us.
So I hope you have a good broadcast. Hope all the fans enjoy the show.
Carl Edwards, our ESPN in-race reporter tonight, starting back in 27th spot. At the very head of the field is the pace car for the race. Got a special guest driver on these pace laps. That's Jason Clark, the actor who's starring in the new movie Lawless that comes out on Wednesday. He's got that focus going.
Lawless might be appropriate here tonight, too.
Yeah, there you go. That pace car, just one of the looks we'll have from onboard race cars tonight. Our high-definition onboards riding with Brad Keselowski. He's got the Dodge on board from the front row. Danica Patrick, the GoDaddy.com camera. In her Bristol's Cup debut. Flint Boyer, the 5-hour energy camera. Matt Kenseth, the Goodyear on board. Kyle Busch has got our Toyota camera. There's Kevin Harvick with the Rheem on board. Dale Earnhardt Jr. with the Chevy camera. And Carl Edwards with the Ford EcoBoost on board. Our over-the-wall camera being carried by the jack band for the pole-sitting car of Casey Mears. Darrell Beachy. Darrell, have a great night tonight. Got that #1 pit stall after they earned the pole in practice when qualifying was rained out. And our telecast tonight available in Spanish, brought to you by ESPN Deportes. Hope you enjoy. And we get set to go 500 laps here in Thunder Valley on this half-mile track, a place where drivers will tell you sometimes they're going around here so quickly they get confused whether they're on the front stretch or the back stretch.
I'll guarantee you it's difficult to keep up with. Talking about 16-second laps and a lot of things happening.
Kevin Harvick with a change of crew chiefs coming into this race, and they're getting ready to go at it.
Have a good night, Kevin. Guys, be strong here in the pits. Billy, I'll let you relay most of the information, and we'll talk under caution. Have a good night, buddy.
Thank you.
So as we get set to go, half a lap from the start in Bristol. So many potential stories in the race tonight. How will the racing be? Will we see more of the bumping and grinding and crashing? And we have a car off the pace on the front straightaway that's going to wave off the start. That's Kurt Busch.
His car just absolutely stopped running as they came off turn 4 on the main straightaway. The whole field passed him. I thought maybe he was going to the rear on purpose, but then looks like he just wouldn't fire up. Finally did, though.
See if he gets his scheduled spot on the grid back. He's headed back that way now.
Yeah, just go back to your spot there, man. Just easy there. Easy.
All right, there you go. So we'll go one to go again.
Right there, bud, right there. Coming to the green next time.
And things appear to be in good shape for Kurt Busch. Casey Mears on the pole. Qualifying rained out yesterday afternoon. New rules put into place at the beginning of last season. The first practice session speeds determine the starting order of the field. So Casey Mears, in a huge break for the Germain Racing team, will lead this field to the green flag. He's chosen the outside lane.
Yeah, we saw this all night last night, that that outside lane was the place to be. A lot of nervous drivers right now that are starting on the inside, whether it's Brad Keselowski there starting on the inside or even further back.
I promise you, the drivers aren't the only ones nervous. The guys on the pit boxes are too. This is one of the most nerve-wracking starts of a race that I ever experienced is these first few laps at Bristol.
Drivers are nervous, fans are charged up. We're ready for the Irwin Tools night race at Bristol. Casey Mears slides wide for the lead. Brad Keselowski in the 2 looking underneath.
Yeah, still going to be tough, even though Mears lost a little momentum for Brad Keselowski. Get that drive up off the corner that you need.
And this is where we talked about patience and working hard. When you have to work that low lane to pass somebody, so easy to overdrive and slide up and hit the guy that's outside of you, but that just starts a wreck that might mess up your car.
Yeah, and if you've got any patience, you better have it at lap 2 because it's not going to get any better throughout the night.
Joey Logano in the yellow 20, the third player in the mix. He's going to get that second spot.
Now, Brad Keselowski is going to have one of the better cars here tonight. He may be struggling a little bit right now, but you saw just how difficult it was for him to make that pass. Now, Casey Mears has a fast car. Doing a nice job keeping it out
Hamlin. Sorry, DJ. Hamlin with that bobble up from the bottom lane. Almost collected the point leader.
Yeah, you think that. I mean, it looks so inviting to go to that bottom lane and you can make a little time through the middle, but getting off the corner is really tricky.
Eric Almirola up to third, and Richard Petty's 43. Right behind this fight for the top spot, Logano 20, Casey Mears 13.
These cars make so much power. They can overpower the racetrack and overpower the tires, especially from this bottom lane. You see Joey Logano's got a great car, but he's going to have a hard time making that pass on Casey Mears on the bottom.
Yeah, we saw him in this position last night in the nationwide race, trying to pass Kevin Harvick, among others, for the lead. Showed a lot of patience then, and I'm sure he's going to tonight. Second victory of the season for him would be huge here tonight.
Mears up there close to that spot. You see the lighter shade of concrete there. That's where the track milled off those 2 degrees of banking in the very top lane. Trying to narrow up the racing lane and put the cars more closely together like the old Bristol before 2007 was.
Yeah, more than taking away the 2 degrees of banking, the things that's given the drivers problem is they really smoothed that out.
Oh, there's trouble front straightaway. Sorry, DJ. Ken Schrader turned into the inside wall, and the caution is out. First caution of the night. Just 10 laps into the race. And you see how badly bent the front end of that 32 car is. The front wheels weren't even on the ground when it slid down off the banking.
You fixed it on pit road, guys.
Yeah, a lot of contact right there. You see out of the corner, and you just can't get the car stopped before you get to the inside wall.
49 car Jason Leffler.
You can see how quick it happens, too. There's just nowhere to go. And once you get turned to these straightaways, they're banked as well. They're just going to take you right down to the inside wall.
Kenny running 36th at the time, and a very early crimp in his night. And the caution is out here at Bristol. Casey Mears has led all of the laps so far, with plenty of company up front. Mr. Schrader going to express some displeasure. We'll come back to Bristol after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Still cleaning up under the first caution here at Bristol as the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series races at the world's fastest half mile. Speaking of fast, which driver do you think will take first out of this week's top 4 qualifiers? In the AT&T Fastest Driver Challenge, there are the drivers: Casey Mears, Brad Keselowski, Greg Biffle, and Joey Logano. Text FAST to 34763 or go to attfastestdriver.com to play. You can have a chance to win 4 Gs just by playing along in today's AT&T Fastest Driver Challenge. Every week, you'll have the chance to make your pick and see where you stack up against the rest. The pit lane just being opened. Remember at Bristol, the 2 different pit procedures, under caution and under green. So that entry to pit road you're looking at off of turn number 2, where everybody has to go in under the yellow flag. And there's the first driver to take advantage. Jimmy Johnson got to try and work a little strategy, Doc, because he was starting way in the back. I'm sorry, Vince.
He's a little bit tight in the center and wants a little more rear security, so they're going to go up a half round in the right rear and make a 4-tire change for Jimmy Johnson. As you said, started deep in the field, starting to make his way up. Also, the 10 car of Danica Patrick came in. You saw her just go by on her screen, on the screen there. Took right side, says she's a little tight in the center.
Joe Nemechek, Jason Leffler, Travis Kvapil also coming on to pit road under this caution. Some of very few to stop. Greg Biffle got a little donut mark on the door already, Mike.
Yeah, that's the least of his concerns, really. He came over the radio just after the caution came out, complaining profusely about his race car, saying it's not doing what it did in practice. He's chattering the tires, feels like it's bottoming out off of turn number 2. He's very concerned, said they're terrible right now. So obviously the track's going to change, but right now, Greg Biffle not happy at all.
All right, we'll keep an eye on Greg, who for the moment runs in 5th position. Now on the pace laps, remember we saw Kurt Busch's car just lose power and stop. Perhaps a little further information here as to what happened.
You know what I think happened? I did it. I was adjusting the brake bias, making sure everything worked, and I hit the on-off switch. That's what I think happened. Just for reference, move the brake bias away from the master on-off switch for future.
Might be a good idea.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what happens is that master switch is just a little like a key, and it can be right beside that brake bias knob, and he probably just reached over there with his glove. Probably didn't even feel it. Just flipped the switch off.
So doubled up for the restart as the pace car hits pit road. Casey Mears, the leader, choosing the outside lane, as we expect to see a lot tonight. Joey Logano in that yellow 20 to his inside. So when I went around the garage earlier today and I talked to some people, a lot of folks told me that the first 20 laps on new tires, your car would have a chance at using that bottom lane to make some passes. But after that, we'd see a lot of people moving up the racetrack like Logano is now and having to try that higher line.
I haven't seen it really work. We've seen Logano try to make it work. It looks like Eric Almirola in that 43, he made a pass on Brad Keselowski on the bottom. His is one of the better cars I've seen on the bottom of the racetrack, that 43 is. He's coming up, he's catching Logano right now.
You see Logano still just can't make that pass. You see Jeff Burton up there inside the top 5. Nice to see him running well here tonight.
Ken Schrader checked and released from the infield medical center. 27 and 9, Paul Menard, Marcos Ambrose. That's for 10th and 11th spot. There are Denny Hamlin 11 and Kyle Busch 18. A little further ahead, 7th and 8th. Talk about two different agendas tonight, right? Hamlin, 10th in the championship standings. A wreck and a bad night here could drop him out of the top 10 and back into having a fight for one of those wild card spots. Kyle, a win tonight, could get him a chance to have a wild card spot and make the chase.
Yeah, and Hamlin's had some bad ones in the last 9-5. For those last times he's finished 25th or worse, so he's needing a solid night.
Joey Logano being very patient but very persistent.
Yeah, yes, but how about Casey Mears staying up here and leading this race? You know, I think a lot of people really just expected, yeah, he put that lap down in practice, but thinking that he would just fall back at the start of this. Doing a great job.
This looks a lot like last night. Joey Logano was very patient with Kevin Harvick when he was leading the race on tires that were not quite as good. Logano had the better car, but took a long, long time. Very patient about how he raced Harvick, but did end up getting the lead and the win. Looks very similar to this right now.
Got a chance here. Got a chance.
I think he's going to be able to do it. Now, that's just
he got a nice run. Yeah, he went up in the middle there to kind of diamond that to get a straighter drive off the corner. That's the way to make a nice pass.
Now you can drive away from him.
Just started to see that 13 car slip around too as he was trying to stay with the 20 off the corner.
Yeah, you're either going to have that where you've got a car that's got really good drive off, or you're just going to have to use up the side of that car that you're trying to pass. Now's not the time to really be doing that.
9 and 29, Ambrose and Harvick. Side by side, 13th and 14th. We check on second place as Mears continues to slide a little bit in that 13. Eric Almirola, 43. Jeff Burton, 31. Watch the wall. It'll step out and get you.
It's right where that safer barrier ends and the concrete wall starts for the straightaway. It's still just out, just a little bit encroaching on the racetrack.
So sorting it out in the early going after one quick caution. Second leader of the race, Joey Logano, last night's winner.
Let's get ready to rumble!
A little rumbling in the opening laps of the Irwin Tools night race at Bristol. Ken Schrader turned out of traffic, bringing out the first and only caution of the race so far as sun sets, temperatures begin to drop, track conditions change, and the action from second place on back gets a little more intense. Joey Logano out in front, past Casey Mears after Mears starting on the pole led the first 26 laps, but now for second place. Having worked their way around Mears, 43 Eric Almirola, 31 Jeff Burton.
Yeah, both these drivers doing a really nice job. Jeff Burton's car looks the best so far here that I've seen Jeff Burton look in a long time.
The struggle would kind of be an understatement for the season that 31 has had. So Burton going to clear Almirola. There's Brad Keselowski, the man who's won the last 2 straight Bristol races in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, sliding by Mears. Keselowski dropped back a few spots on the start. Remember, he was on the front row.
I just saw Kurt Busch kind of move Juan Pablo Montoya out of the way there. We'll see if that comes back around later on.
We're keeping a marker sheet. There's Kyle Busch in the 18 car. He is running back in 8th position and maybe a little concerned about the feel of his car.
Worst rotor shake I've ever freaking had. Horrible.
Yeah, what he's talking about is you can see the steering wheel. It's got a shake in the rotors. What happens is they don't heat up evenly, or and they cool unevenly, and they'll make that rotor warm. So it just puts a shake in the steering wheel.
Yeah, and a problem with Kyle is it's not a problem. It's a great attribute he has as a driver that he doesn't use to brake a whole lot. So whenever he's not getting that heat there, he's going to have a lot of that.
Well, I see the rotor's glowing red on the car now, though, so he must be using more brake than he needs to, or than he probably wants to use, and that's causing a lot of this problem.
It's a pretty heavy traffic there. He's behind Casey Mears in the 13. He's got Casey Kane in the 5 to his inside and by. Kane up to 8th. And make it up to 7th as he slides by Mears. Greg Biffle in the 16, Kevin Harvick in the 29, and then he won.
talking to a lot of these drivers, they felt like the frustration level may ramp up pretty quickly here tonight because somebody gets out front with a fast race car, starts putting people laps down. They've got to get on it, and the only way they're going to be able to do it is to move people.
Yeah, right now everybody's being fairly patient because they're not, Logano's not putting good cars a lap down yet. But when he starts running up to the back of some of these good cars, you're going to see that frustration level, intensity level come up. Here, Junior pedaling his car off the corner.
Big knot of cars here. Betrayed by the very nation they swore to protect, the crew of America's most powerful nuclear submarine has been targeted for destruction. From the creator of The Shield, Andre Brower and Scott Speedman star in Last Resort, series premiere Thursday, September 27th at 8 Eastern, here on ABC. 13 Mears, 29 Harvick. Knocking around here for 9th and 10th spots with a whole lot of company. Clint Boyer in the 15, trying to make some time on that inside line. Had a great finish in the race held back here on March the 18th, did Boyer.
Yeah, you're talking about a good job that Casey Mears did lead the race. He did, but I don't think his car is all that great. I think he's holding up a lot of good, fast cars right now, and that's what's causing this congestion behind him.
Yeah, potential problem brewing right here.
That's when that patience thing we talked about begins to wear thin. Dale Earnhardt Jr., 19th place in the 88 car.
Yeah, he went down and tried to make a pass because everybody was just lined up in the outside. Conversely, he's lost 2 spots in trying to do that. Brian Vickers in the 55, on the other hand, has been able to make some passes on the inside moving forward.
55 Vickers working on Marcos Ambrose in the 9. That'll be for 17th place.
Really tough to make that pass on the bottom. One of the reasons is, like I said earlier, is this car just makes so much power. Hard to get those rear tires to hook up off the bottom of the racetrack.
Well, in this particular case, too, you've got drivers lined up nose to tail on the outside. You never have anywhere to slide up in, so you just abuse the tires here. You can't ever get in a position you can slide up and cool things back down and then make another run.
Brian Vickers digging hard on the bottom in that 55, Vince.
Well, remember, he had a good run here in March as well. Finished 5th, led 125 laps. And his crew chief, Rodney Childers, told me they brought the same car back, and they really worked hard on this car running the bottom successfully. They said everybody's going to be good up top, but those that can work the bottom fast are going to be guys that can go forward. And that's exactly what you guys were talking about. He's working the bottom and running good times.
Yeah, and I really think that the bottom might come into play even more after cars' handling starts going away. Even though they're running up top and taking that spot, then I think you can make some time down there if your car's pretty good.
Jeff Gordon making a little time. Just got 5th place away from Denny Hamlin. Gordon in that 24. And you see Brad Keselowski has slipped back to 7th in the deuce. Nice to see that tribute paint scheme to our pal R-Dub, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying not to make myself call it Rusty Wallace here. Just looking at it just brings back a lot of memories.
All this action we're showing you is going on well behind the race leader. Joey Logano has opened up 2.5 seconds on 2nd place Jeff Burton. Logano out in front. It's the NASCAR Sprint Cup Irwin Tools Night Race at Bristol. We invite you to check out NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. 70 of the 500 laps complete. Joey Logano, the 2nd leader of the night. Quick reminder, coverage of Major League Baseball continues on ESPN. Tomorrow night, Jason Hayward of the Braves travel to San Francisco to take on Buster Posey and the Giants at 8. Then Monday night at 8, Evan Longoria and the Rays look to keep not only their wild card, but their division hopes alive when they visit Adrian Beltre and the Rangers. Sports Center scene in the Tampa Bay market. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. Monday Night Baseball presented by USAA. So Joey Logano, the leader, catching the tail end of the field, and at the tail end of the lead lap now and going a lap down, Tony Stewart in the 14.
Well, he's really struggled at this racetrack over about the last 7 races, ever since really with this 14 car. I think he's got, one top 10 finish maybe?
He's finished 14th or worse in the last 7 starts here.
And remember that for Stewart, after some troubles he had, including the engine problems at Michigan last week, it dropped him down to 9th in the championship standings and not that far ahead of the 11th place driver, Casey Kane. Well, if Stewart has a bad finish tonight, Kane could potentially overtake him and knocked Tony out of that top 10 and back into the wild card race for a place in the chase. Speaking of Casey Kane, he is on the move in that 5 car just around Eric Almirola in the 43 and up to 3rd. Almirola losing 4th, getting Hamlin in the 11 going by. Hamlin seems to have it going here in the early.
Yeah, his car looked pretty strong early on that he could make a run and get going. I've seen some other cars really struggling here for some reason. I'm not sure if they're having some tire problems, some issues. I see Matt Kenseth right now struggling. The 24, Jeff Gordon falling back. I don't know what's wrong with Kenseth. He's up high going into 3.
Yeah, he's really slow. That 17 is. I don't know what. Yeah, he's got some real big issues.
Yeah, there's Matt. He's been passed by 4, 5 cars, maybe more. Doc?
The 17 car, DJ, having issues. They think they've got a loose brake line or something in the front of the car. They are up on the pit wall, ready to bring Matt in. He said, I'm going to try to hang on as best I can. But as you said a moment ago, he is all over the racetrack, way up at the top. Minimal brakes at all on the 17.
That can't be fun. And you see Kurt Busch, when Matt Kenseth slowed, there was a whole bottle up of traffic behind him. Kurt Busch got the worst of that.
Yeah, Lester is rubbing this over here, but it's touching the cap of the tire there.
See, he's already got damage on that left rear.
Watch the bumper cars here.
Whoa. Yeah, a little bit of an accordion effect there.
Jimmy Johnson with a good piece of that, too, on the nose of that 48. Keep an eye on the temperature gauge on that car.
Sam Horner's just out of shape and into the wall off of turn 4.
Caution. Debris in turn 2. Potentially from the 22 or the 51 cars, and the second yellow flag of the race at lap 82. Sam was running in 19th spot when this happened.
And we've seen a lot of these drivers trying to get up into that white area where there's really no rubber being laid down. Some others have been making it work. Sam, not so much.
Yeah, I saw a few cars up there. Looked like Martin Truex was up there a few times. It looked like it was working for some of them, but boy, you're right. It didn't work very good for Sam. And then look at this damage on the 48. I don't think that's going to cause many cooling issues as long as it didn't damage the ductwork that's behind the nose. You can see the opening looks fine.
Remember, Jimmy started way in the back of the field in this 48 car, started in 37th spot. One of the few that pitted under the early caution at lap 14, he pitted. Restarted 33rd, has moved his way up to 21st. Now the question is, do they stay out and play the strategy, or do they need to come in and get a look at that damage? Pit road is closed, so it's going to be a minute before we find out.
Yeah, I talked to Earl Barbin, the spotter for this car. He said that he went ahead and kicked the front bumper and then told Jimmy, said, don't be afraid to use it now. It's not pretty anymore. I don't think he meant to use it like that, though.
So second caution of the race. Pit road will be open this time by, which is when the field gets over to turn number 2, exiting turn number 4 now. Expect we'll see all the front of the field in, right?
Yeah. We saw Tony Stewart get lapped, but unfortunately, he's not going to be the one getting the free pass here.
No, that'll be Michael McDowell in the 98. That the leader just overtook before the caution. He is the guy running in front of Stewart. So Tony missed it by 1.
That's just crazy to me why Tony Stewart's not better here. This looks like a track he'd be really good at.
Here they come to pit road. Vince.
Jeff Burton running second, really likes his car. They're not going to make any changes. It's going to be a 4-tire change. He's got a donut on the left side of his car right there at the driver's window. Seeing a lot of that here today. Dave?
Leader Logano very clean so far. He will take a full load of Sunoco fuel and 4 tires as well. There will just be an air pressure change. His car was a little bit loose, actually tight on exit on the front side of the racetrack. Dr. Bunch.
Defending race winner Brad Keselowski now pulling into his pits here. He said the car very tight in the center, cannot run the high line. Thought he might have been on the splitter. 4-tire change, Sunoco fuel, air pressure. Okay, the 43 car, Eric Almirola said, I'm losing drive off. He said, let's change all 4 tires, air pressure change. No other major chassis adjustments. Mike.
The 11 team and Denny Hamlin very happy. Oh, contact on pit road with Denny Hamlin as he tried to pull away. It was a great pit stop, but obviously that's not what they wanted to see happen. A little bit of damage, at least cosmetically, to the 11 car leaving pit road.
all kinds of mayhem on this tight pit road here at Bristol. Back for the restart in a moment. Getting ready for the restart here at Bristol after the second caution of the race and a round of pit stops. Denny Hamlin, Greg Biffle among those who had close calls on the pit lane. Let's check out what happened to Hamlin as he tried to leave his pit.
Oh, man. I tell you, that right there hit right on the wheel. Really worry about whether there'd been a tie rod or something in the steering right there.
Fortunately, didn't knock that 11 car over into any of the 83's crewmen who were coming out to service Landon Castle. Flags for the restart. Outback Steakhouse gave those out tonight as a reminder that they give out free bloomin' onions if Ryan Newman finishes in the top 10. We're back to green. We'll let them race a lap or two, then we'll tell you about some speeding penalties on pit road and a little strategy. Slipping and sliding and fighting for spots going on out there. Joey Logano, the race leader. Jeff Burton is settled into second. Casey Kane, Brad Keselowski racing for third. That's Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42. Just right side tires only on his pit stop to get some track position. He's running fifth.
Like Keselowski, that two car, got his car a little better this run. He kind of slipped back, started second, started on the outside of the front row, and slid back in that first run.
Jeff Burton's come back up into second by way of starting fourth. His pit crew had a little problem on the right rear, but they still were okay there, and it worked out for them, and he's back in second once again.
Get that outside lane, it helps you. Mention Montoya with the right sides only. Also his teammate Jamie McMurray and Carl Edwards changed just two tires and picked up some track position. Losing track position, Kyle Busch speeding on pit road. Dale Earnhardt Jr. speeding on pit road. Ryan Newman left his pit stall with a wrench still in the back window and had to come back to get it removed. He also went to the back of the field for the restart.
You see Burton just fighting on the bottom trying to get by Casey Kane, and that's not going to work.
See, that five car, Casey Kane's really strong here tonight. Always is really good here, but he loves to run the high line around this racetrack.
Kane to second, Burton back to third, Brad Keselowski 2, and Clint Boyer 15 now in fourth and fifth. It's too early to tell, but that 11 car looks like he's doing okay for the moment.
Yeah, I was really wanting to watch and see exactly how that may affect him. I thought if it really looked like he got hit in the kind of the back of the wheel, if it towed the right front out quite a bit, if that may affect him, we'll have to see tire wear, but his car seems to be okay. He's fighting Montoya pretty hard here for this spot.
Yeah, that looked like it hurt it at all. He's just up ahead of him, Clint Boyer. He started back in 23rd spot. He's made a lot of headway, and he's made it a lot on the bottom making these passes.
And Hamlin's one of those cars that really worked the bottom hard, made some passes in that first run. You see Boyer slipped just a little bit in front of Keselowski.
I spoke too soon about Brad Keselowski making his car better. Doesn't look like it's any better at all this year.
Losing some spots. Boyer got by him. Montoya, here's Kevin Harvick, 29.
Well, speaking of somebody that needs a good run, and it's really good at this racetrack, Kevin Harvick and this race team could use some good things happening tonight.
Yes, sir. Joey Logano had a big lead before the caution, got out to a quick lead after the restart, but now he's got company. Casey Kane in the 5 going after the race lead.
He wasted no time driving up to the back bumper of Logano. See what his plans are now.
Able to make that pass on Burton for second on the outside. I'm not sure if Logano's going to give it up on the outside.
When he first caught Logano, he tried to kind of squeeze between Logano and the wall, but Logano didn't give him enough room. So now I think he's pretty much said if he's going to make this pass, it's going to have to be on the bottom.
Logano's done a lot of leading, Dave, but he's got some company now.
Ask crew chief Jason Ratcliffe what yesterday's win did for him. He said it allows Joey right from the start to know where he wants to run and how hard to push it. You see him using the line he wants to keep Kane behind him. By the way, Jason also told me I'm a big fan of nationwide racing. Gives my driver a lot of confidence, too.
Joey Logano's done a lot of winning in the NASCAR Nationwide Series this year.
He left a little too much room right there for Casey Kane on the exit. He'd been driving kind of downhill off the corner, getting a good run. But Kane took advantage and now's got the lead.
New leader, the 5.
So Joey Logano led from lap 27 to lap 107, but now at 108 complete, Casey Kane out in front as the new leader of the Irwin Tools night race at Bristol. We're back to Thunder Valley after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Back at Bristol under the lights where it's been interesting so far. A strong performance for Joey Logano, not so strong for Tony Stewart. Already a lap down.
I tell you, that's really surprising everybody. Tony Stewart's just getting his doors blowed off early. That 14 car is just not handling. He's got to get that thing and get working on it.
Currently in 32nd. Really tight out there,
Boy,
Brad.
you see Jimmy Johnson get to the back of the 34. 22's had some problems. 51's had some problems. A little bit of slip and a slide up in that high groove break.
Yeah, it got a little bit loose there. You can see Kurt Busch with some damage on the left rear of that 51 car.
If you think it's tight on the track, how about pit road?
Oh, man, I could not believe what just happened there. Landon Castle must not have seen Denny coming out of the pits and just clobbered his right front wheel.
Coverage of the Little League World Series continues tomorrow. First at 11 on ESPN, it's Panama versus Petaluma, California in the consolation game. Then at 3, it's the World Championship game on ABC. Japan versus Goodlettsville, Tennessee. The Little League World Series presented by Kellogg's Frosted Flakes tomorrow on ABC. Caution on the track, this one for Sam Hornish Jr.
Come to us right here, Sam. Come right here on the front stretch. Come to us.
Alan?
That's kind of the backside of a little contact-off turn 4 doubleheader that left 2 cars with the trunk lids rearranged. 22 of Hornish and the 51 of Kurt Busch.
Kurt Busch's car, he's got his front of his deck lid standing straight up. It looks like a big old huge spoiler on the back of it. Yeah, he ran like 10 laps like that.
Think that thing's making some downforce?
Should be.
Wow.
So Kurt tried to go low under Hornish, slid up, wasn't quite clear. They made contact. He caught the wall. Then this, Hornish got the nip on the bumper.
Yeah, David Reagan into him, trying to go to the outside of him, but wasn't able to make that happen. Created a lot of contact. The patience is going away.
All that racing for 21st position. And that was Matt Kenseth's radio you heard, and indeed he is the free pass recipient under this caution.
Once again, Tony Stewart, the second car, 1 lap down.
Jimmy Johnson leaving his pit, Vince.
Jimmy Johnson came in. They have a little bit of nose damage from that accordion collection that we saw earlier, but just above the radiator. But I just talked with car chief Ron Malik a moment ago. He said a little bit of cosmetic damage, but not anything that's going to affect the radiator. Let's go to Doc.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in for left side tires, and Jr. saying the car just having a little bit of an issue. Said the car was too tight on exit from the center off, trying to make a little adjustment so he can get back in the throttle and use it coming up off the corner, guys.
All right, Doc, Jr. trying to make up the ground lost after that speeding on pit road penalty last time. Sam Hornish Jr. behind the wall. Third caution is out at Bristol. Working the third caution of the night here at Bristol gives us a moment to tell you about the fastest stats, brought to you live all race long by the new Sprint Direct Connect, part of the fastest push-to-talk experience. Upgrade to the new Dun. Joey Logano has led more laps than anyone else tonight, been the fastest of the pack, 80 of the 127 circuits. And the biggest mover in this race, Juan Pablo Montoya. little pit strategy. A fast car that held his track position, helping him gain 24 spots. The fastest stats brought to you by the new Sprint Direct Connect. Upgrade to the new Done. Find out more at sprint.com/speed and get done. About to get this caution done as we double up for the restart. Brad Keselowski's back in 9th.
I'm trying not to panic. We knew the top would be good. I'm just hoping that it goes away. If it goes away, I think we'd be fine, man. I mean, maybe not the best car, but, you know, respectable for sure.
I wouldn't count on that happening, so he better find a way to make his car run up there and make some passes.
Matt Kenseth got the free pass at the caution. There are 29 cars on the lead lap. Casey Kane leads into the green. Little bobble there for Montoya, 42 in the outside lane. Logano goes to second in the 20, still bottled up behind the 42. Little dicey there.
Yeah, Montoya really struggled the first part of the race, running back outside the top 20. Took the 2 tires, got the track positions, able to stay up here. I don't think this car's driving very good, though.
Jeff Burton, 31. Denny Hamlin, 11, working on him. And keep an eye on that 56, Martin Truex Jr. Excellent here at Bristol the last couple of races. He'll be a factor before the day's done. Okay, before the night's done.
Jeff Burton still in the mix here. Been really impressed with this race team for as much as you talked about the struggle that they've had. See, Denny Hamlin trying to make this move work on the inside of Montoya again. They would almost clear him that time.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Montoya's car is as good as it is. He's got 135 laps on his left side tires. Took right side tires at lap 85. Like you said, Dale, he couldn't really run in the top 20. I didn't think this was going to work for him, but I think it's worked out great.
Yeah, a lot of crew chiefs I talked with were concerned. This is a new left side tire. They didn't really think with the wear that they saw that this tire might go this long, but Montoya may be showing them something here. Hamlin using his bumper now trying to make this pass.
And you saw those gloves on the steering wheel of that 42, awfully busy going back and forth.
Gotta be careful, Montoya. He's not afraid to use the bumper, too.
Yeah, and Hamlin's got a little bit of distance between he and Jeff Burton, the next car back there, so he can keep trying to make this move without being concerned of losing 2, 3, or 4 spots to someone getting on his outside.
This the race for third. Casey Kane, Joey Logano in front of these two. And then the field right behind. Quick mention while we watch this action. Not many lead lap cars pitted under that last yellow. Jimmy Johnson, Eric Almirola, Jeff Gordon, Ryan Newman, Dale Jr. Speaking of.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson looked like he's struggling with his race car. Greg Biffle just made a great move. Take spot away there.
That's 16th place for Biffle while we watch third. As Denny Hamlin makes another attempt at that bottom line move on Juan Pablo Montoya.
Yeah, this is the same type patience that you used to have. You talk about the old Bristol versus what we have now. It was just opposite. You were running right on the bottom, and you did the same thing. You were lined up there, just waiting for somebody to make a mistake or knocking them out of the way. Kind of the same thing that you're seeing here, except they do have somewhere to go to try to make these passes now, but you just have to be so patient for 500 laps.
But you were telling me earlier when we were talking about what we might see tonight, that with what they changed at the very top of the racetrack, the exit of the corner, when you're trying to make that pass and hold underneath somebody, that seems to be where things really tighten up.
Yeah, it really does tighten up. You just need to make that work with the horsepower that these cars have, and as heavy as they are, you just need all of that racetrack to be able to stay in the gas to complete that pass. I think Jimmy Johnson's maybe dented his nose a little bit more. I'm pretty sure he's not very happy with Greg Biffle with what I saw a few minutes ago.
Might this be what you saw?
See Johnson get up. A lot of people have been up there. No reason to really be that unhappy with what Biffle did. I think Jimmy's just upset with himself, and now he's frustrated he's lost the spot. How about this 48, Vince?
Yeah, he's not complaining about how the car's handling. They were a little loose early in the race, but on that last pit stop, they didn't make any changes. Just a 4-tire change. And he's given Greg Biffle a bump in the back end 3 or 4 times during this run. So you can see his patience wearing a little thin with the 16. Look at that nose damage on that 48.
Well, the 48's got about 40-lap fresher tires right now than Greg Biffle, so he feels like he ought to be able to drive by him.
Yeah, and Biffle really is struggling with his race car, and Jimmy knows that he messed up there and got that spot where he could be moving forward. Now he's just going to try to use Biffle up a little bit. That's how you do it.
The new version of the Bristol bump
That's
and
what
run.
you have to do.
And now the bump back.
Well, you got to be ready for that, too. But that's what you're going to have to do is we got trouble on the front stretch. David Reagan.
He's on fire momentarily.
Reagan is spun into the inside wall. Caution is out.
You're out. You're not on fire. You are not on fire.
Something went seriously wrong in that 34 car. A couple of laps ago, he had slipped way wide in 3 and 4 and almost caught the wall, gathered it back up, kept going, but now he spun off the corner, literally with fire coming from under the car. Have a look here, bottom right of your screen.
He got into streaming, and it looks like he could have busted the oil cooler. That's exactly what happened. Probably busted the oil cooler and put all that hot oil on the headers.
Fortunately, nobody else spun in the oil. So, yellow flag out. You see David extricating himself from that car. And the pit lane quickly open on the back straightaway, and some strategy being played here. Logano stays out, as do others, Vince.
The 5-car of Casey Kane has come in. He's got a little bit of damage, and they're going to take a look at that. That's the concern there on the right front. They just gave it a little tug. Casey didn't want to come, but they were afraid they would have a rub if they didn't, so they wanted to come in and make sure. You see him giving extra attention to that right front, and the tire change looked to be no significant damage. 2 tires, right sides. Mike?
A rather eventful pit stop last time down pit road for Denny Hamlin. He suffered what appeared to be damage, but after that came on the radio saying, we have a race-winning car. He's very happy with his machine right now. As the team goes to work on the right side of the 11, they complete service there. A 4-tire change for the 11. Meanwhile, Juan Montoya also taking tires and fuel. Last time down pit road only took 2, this time 4. And Martin Truex Jr. a little bit tight center. They'll make an air pressure adjustment, and he's away.
Boy, a real split agenda and a real round of strategy there. That's the race off pit road, but Joey Logano stays on the track, and he takes over the lead. Got some oil to clean up here at Bristol, so we are still under caution. Gives us a chance to tell you about next weekend's nighttime racing doubleheader at the high-speed Atlanta Motor Speedway. Saturday night, NASCAR Nationwide Series, 6:30 on ESPN2. And Sunday night, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, presented by Pennzoil. Our coverage at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN. Night racing at 200 miles an hour in Atlanta, with a place in the chase on the line. Casey Kane was the leader at the caution, making yet another pit stop under this yellow flag.
Yeah, there don't seem to be a lot of damage on the car. I don't know exactly what they've got, what the problem is. What's going on with that 5-car, Van?
Well, the right front, you see they've got some damage up underneath the well, and that's what they've been working on. Also has some right rear damage and a little bit of splitter damage as well. Kenny Francis, the crew chief, just said, hey, we'll lose a lap if we have to. We're good enough we can get it back, but we've got to make sure we get it fixed. So that's the situation they're dealing with right now, giving it a lot of attention for Casey Kane. Boy, he was leading the race and having a good run. They just told me earlier today, it always seems like we've got something to overcome. That's the case again tonight.
And he has lost a lap with that extended stay on the pit lane. So what happened to cause this damage on the 5? Watch the top of the screen.
Oh, yeah, you can see he got in that oil right there.
Yep.
Man, I didn't realize he hit the wall that hard.
Yeah, I
There's
guess
a lot of oil up there. Boy, he clobbered that wall. You can't tell that by looking at the damage on the car, though. Just didn't look that bad. Obviously, it was.
Yeah, a lot of cars right there. See, Logano got right next to the wall, so there was a lot of oil put down.
You see, look at the body damage. Hardly any body damage to the car.
I think the flaming, spinning David Reagan had all of our attention pretty well. So Kane is going to go a lap down and back to, at the moment, around 32nd position, and he's pitting again. Jeff Gordon, one of those who did not pit under this yellow, he's running in 4th.
I'm just cracking up right now. I love how they ground that top down, made it smoother, and now it's laying rubber, and it's the best preferred place to be.
That's kind of what I've noticed, too. I mean, everybody looks like migrating up all the way, I mean, completely to the wall in the middle of the corner. On the exit, I think there's still just a little bit of a place that they can't go, and it kind of narrows the racetrack up on the exit. They're using it up in the middle.
So the racetrack really is taking a lot of rubber, and we are seeing a lot of guys. 9-time Bristol winner Rusty Wallace rubbing right up against that concrete in the corners.
Yeah, they really are, Alan. We knew this was going to happen a little bit because of the extra horsepower and just the pure speed of the Cup car versus nationwide truck, stuff like that. You know, I expected this, that it was going to happen. I think all you guys did too, but I don't think Bruton Smith wanted this to happen. He ground the top lane a couple degrees out of that, trying to get these guys down to the bottom where they're root and gouge and maybe cause some more cautions and stuff. But I have to agree with what Jeff Gordon just said. It looks like it's laying rubber down and getting better grip, guys.
You know, Jimmy Johnson and Greg Biffle just illustrated for us how hard it is to pass on this track. And it is interesting the different strategies we're seeing. The top 15 guys all stayed out.
You're absolutely right. And we've seen that since lap 1. But I think, as Rusty alluded to and the guys up top, as we get a little further into this race, maybe 50 or 60 more laps race, I think we're going to see a little bit more aggressive racing where guys are going to start taking chances, trying to pass, in particular in that top lane where everybody seems to be favoring that little bit of cushion.
Yeah, it seems to be that everybody wants to be in that top lane, and they're having trouble getting these cars slowed down. It's like being in a traffic jam on the highway.
Yeah.
But the guy up ahead stops, and then 3 or 4
accordion
cars
effect.
back, we've got that accordion effect. You know, I'm watching the wild card race at the end. It is unbelievable what's going on, 11th to 14th spot.
Dave, what's going on with Joey Logano?
Joey Logano stayed out. We heard stay out, then pit. Your strategy still intact?
Yeah, that was the right call for us. We need track position right now. Our car's a little tight, so I'd like to work on it. And our original call was to stay out, and I was listening to the guys behind us that were coming. But we made the right call. Joey's in the right spot. He's doing a good job tonight. The Dollar General Camry. Try to hang on here and get a good run.
Joey Logano leads the top 15 in line, did not pit under the yellow. Juan Pablo Montoya, 42, was the first off the pit lane. Jeff Gordon, 24. Brian Vickers, 55 for second. And keep an eye on the 18 and the 88. Remember, they had speeding penalties earlier. Kyle Busch and Dale Earnhardt Jr. not pitting under the yellow. They're back up into the top 6.
Things are going to get really interesting in some of those cars that stayed out with Dave Blaney, Jamie McMurray that was struggling. You have Kurt Busch, whose car has been beat around. They're in front of a lot of guys that faster cars that have tires that pitted there.
Also quickly mentioned, Tony Stewart got the free pass at the caution. Smokes back on the lead lap. He's in 29th.
See them back there coming down. There's 3 wide coming off of turn 2. They made it work that time.
Jeff Burton, 31. Denny Hamlin, 11. Martin Truex, 56, among the leaders. Before the caution, they went to pit road. Track position has changed. Edwards, remember, just took right side tires earlier, gained some track position. Now on that other pit schedule, he just stopped under the yellow. Back in 22nd place.
here on these good tires. And the way to make this strategy work is to try to stay out here and maintain your track position, and then you're off sequence with the cars that just stayed out. So you kind of take advantage of the next caution when they pit, but you got to stay out of trouble.
Earlier saw Matt Kenseth have some problems. He's passing Jimmy Johnson there to pick up a spot. That's 9th place.
Yeah, I've been watching Matt. He got that car fixed with that brake line on the left rear. They got the free pass, got it back. Now his car's good, real good right now.
Just hope at the end of the race, talk about those sequences, getting off sequence. You just hope you're on the right strategy when it comes time to make that last stop and you're in front or towards the front.
31 Jeff Burton, 29 Kevin Harvick. As you look at where the Childress Racing cars are running, Paul Menard was running 9th at the caution. Got a penalty for speeding on pit road under the yellow.
Yeah, and we've seen Harvick and Burton run up inside the top 10 quite a lot of laps here tonight, so that's not indicative of how they're running.
So Joey Logano back out in front. Not yet to halfway in the Irwin Tools night race at Bristol. We're back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. In the hills of East Tennessee, where the roots of stock car racing go back to the days of moonshiners slinging their cars around the mountain roads, today's NASCAR drivers are slinging their cars around the world's fastest half mile, and there has been some beating and banging and some sparks showering tonight in the Irwin Tools night race at Bristol. Joey Logano out in front in the Joe Gibbs Racing 20 Toyota. He has led the most laps so far tonight. The beginning of the race, Casey Mears started on pole at the opening segment. Logano led a chunk. Casey Kane led a chunk. Until Kane ran into some problems at the most recent caution when David Reagan laid down some oil and Kane got into the wall. Jimmy Johnson trying to make his way from the back of the pack after qualifying was rained out and a poor practice speed resulted in him starting in 37th spot. Not yet to halfway in tonight's race. We've got 2 different pit stop schedules going on right now. There were 15 cars that didn't pit at the last yellow. The rest of the field did. Furthest forward of the guys who pitted after that caution flag is still not yet cracked the top 10. This is the race for 3rd. Jeff Gordon, 24. Kyle Busch, 18. Dale Earnhardt Jr., 88.
I've been watching this 88. He's really running high. Both ends of the racetrack, he is all the way up next to the wall and making really good lap times. He's all the way up where they've ground the racetrack. I mean, he's getting it done up there.
Joey Logano's got some company for the race lead. Brian Vickers, after clearing Jeff Gordon, is closing in on that 20. While we keep an eye on this, we go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance. Dave has a report on the race leader.
He stayed out the last 2 times, Alan, and right now he believes that even though he's out ahead, where he's getting beat is in the center of the corner. He also said that he's committed to that high line right now. Vince?
The 55 of Brian Vickers up 20 spots. They have not pitted since lap 84 when he took 4 tires. Really likes his race car right now. It's working up and down.
Doc, back behind them, 5-time Bristol winner Jeff Gordon, who so needs the win tonight. Pitted lap 123, right side tire fuel, added wedge. The car really took off as it now is starting to go away just a mite. Dave.
Kyle Busch has stayed out the last 2 cautions as well. Last pitted around lap 84. The rotor shaking issue of earlier seems to be behind him. Right now he just says that the right front tire is not under me. Front not working for the 18, Doc.
Back behind them, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 5th place. Track bar change, 4 tires, lap 123. Oh, trouble on the racetrack, guys.
Contact between Juan Pablo Montoya and Ryan Newman sends Newman crashing, and Jeff Burton is collected.
That's too bad for Jeff Burton. He had a good run going. Because this is the danger of that split strategy. You get back there, you got to stay out of trouble. Sometimes trouble finds you.
We can fix it. We got to do what we got to do to get back out here.
I'll explain the meaning of that radio transmission that we got to fix it and get back out on Newman's team in a minute, but they're going to have a hard time doing that. It was a race between Ryan Newman and Juan Pablo Montoya that started this whole thing.
Wow, Montoya really gets into the left rear. No chance for Newman to save that one.
I saw that from Montoya last week at Michigan at the high-speed track there, too.
Newman had been struggling some, and he had been holding up some cars, and still no excuse for that.
No excuse for that. Jimmy Johnson had a tough time passing, but he was able to work Newman and work him, but finally got by him. With some slight contact, but nothing like that.
Pit road open. And the leaders, most of them are coming in, Vince.
The 55 of Brian Vickers, he says the car is just a little loose in and a little tight in the center, especially in traffic, but otherwise it's real good. It's a 4-tire change, no other changes on the 55.
Leader Logano, 4-tire change as well. He'll take Sunoco fuel up 1 round on the track bar. Car will not turn to the center of the corner as he wants.
And Jeff Gordon in on the inside. Jeff Gordon 4 tires. They were going to make an adjustment. He said the car now starting to get a little more free, so they're not going to make any adjustment at all on the 24 car. Left side tires going on. Got to get it full of Sunoco fuel. Car will be taken off up top.
Marcos Ambrose last stop was lap 84. They'll come down pit road. The plan is to take 4 tires. They'll make a slight air pressure adjustment. Ambrose saying the car felt a little bit bouncy, so they'll remove some pressure. He's away.
So another split schedule on pit road. Matt Kenseth first out. The new leader, though, will be Dale Earnhardt Jr. He stayed out.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup at Bristol on ABC. Brought to you by Toyota Care, caring for you and your car.
Fifth caution of the night here at Bristol is a big one where the race to the chase is concerned. We continue to clean up after a fight for 11th place between Juan Pablo Montoya and Ryan Newman went wrong. Newman crashed and collected Jeff Burton, who had such a great night going tonight.
Just so unfortunate. He hadn't had much to be happy about. Look at the impact right here.
Wow.
I'm quite certain if Ryan Newman will take the opportunity to talk with one of our reporters, he's not going to have too many good things to say about Mr. Montoya.
Now, we heard Newman's crew chief Tony Gibson on the radio to his driver saying, if you can get that car back to us, do so. We've got to get it fixed and get back out. Well, here's why. In the race for that wild card spot, there are those drivers that all have 1 win apiece. And if we get through tonight, Atlanta and Richmond, and none of those drivers scores a 2nd win, or somebody doesn't get kicked out of the top group that has multiple wins, then the tiebreaker for that 2nd wildcard spot is going to be point standings. Newman only had an 11-point lead on Kyle Busch starting the night. He's already, as they run, behind him now as they tow that car back behind the wall.
Yeah, we keep talking about that. It just, winning is what these drivers have to do, and that's what they're trying to do to get that 2nd victory, which will probably assure them of getting one of those wild card spots. But that's not assured at this point.
A lot of other guys out there that can win races that are in the top 10 in points. Well, pushing Jeff Burton's car back toward the transporter, Vince.
Certainly frustrating for Jeff. He had a good run there. What was going on? What happened?
I saw Ryan having trouble, and he started spinning, and it looked like he was going to stay against the wall, and I saw committed to the bottom, and then he started down, and I couldn't get turned back to the right. But pretty disappointing. We had a really fast car tonight. Cat Chevrolet was really good, and we needed a good run, needed something good to happen for us. And honestly, we had a car good enough tonight to have that happen. We just, it's just been one of those years. We'll, I guess you're saying he wouldn't put it on you if you couldn't take it. So I guess that must be pretty tough.
You got to be good, and you got to have some good luck. Jeff Burton didn't have that tonight.
And as Jeff walks away, we'll show you one more time. What a shot.
Yeah, Jeff's talking about he just couldn't get turned back to the right. You can't just turn these cars on a dime. They're heavy, and the steering just doesn't allow it to turn that quickly, and just unfortunate.
Coming to the green, Casey Kane got the free pass. He's back on the lead lap in 28th spot. Dale Earnhardt Jr., the leader, choosing the outside lane. First car off the pit lane, Matt Kenseth, who restarts 10th.
Kevin Harvick made a big move there. He had a great run from that outside, was going to have that second spot, tried to get a little greedy and go to the lead. Now he's going to lose at least one, if not two spots back.
Denny Hamlin in the 11, trying to keep that outside lane for himself as Harvick looks for some running room. Kevin's going to have to go back to fourth. Now Hamlin with a bid for second on Truex.
Seen Hamlin be able to make some passes on the inside. This could cost him a spot if he doesn't, but he's able to make a big run down into 3 and clear Truex.
Boy, his car looked real good through there, through the middle of the corner. Able to get that drive up off the corner, complete that pass. That's pretty stout.
Clint Boyer still working the bottom lane in the 15. We've seen him a lot down that bottom side tonight.
Yeah, Clint had bought into the fact that that high side is the place to be. He's not going to be very patient. He's going to go down and try to make things happen. Is able to do it.
Biffle 5th in the 16. Montoya 6th in the 42. Boyer 15 trying to get that spot. Matt Kenseth in the 17. Remember I mentioned first off the pit lane of the cars who did stop. He restarted in 10th as the lead changes hands.
Well, Denny Hamlin has a fast race car here. We really thought that contact on pit road may have hurt the steering of this car, but I'm not sure it didn't make it better sometime.
Yeah, I know. I swear. I think his car's been better since that contact. Thing is really going through the center of the corner. And look at the drive he gets off the corner.
Talking about back at lap number 85, if you were not with us. Hamlin leaving his pit stall while Landon Castle was just coming into his. The front end of Castle's car drove right into the right front tire of Hamlin's car. And yet, seems to be no foul, no harm. And the shuffling of track position continues. Wasn't it just a little while ago? Greg Biffle was way back in the pack. They played the pit strategy. Now he's got some cleaner air and further up front track position.
Yeah, and Clint Boyer, who you were just talking about being down that bottom, has made 2 passes. He went by Montoya and then Biffle down on the inside, working his way towards the front.
Up to 5th place in that 15. And everything that's happened so far in the race, that's filled up 2.5 pages of notes so far for this reporter. And we're not even yet to halfway. In the Irwin Tools night race at Bristol, Denny Hamlin out in front. Back with the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Bristol Motor Speedway. Still approaching the halfway point of tonight's 500-lap event. Denny Hamlin is just gone out in front with a pass on Dale Earnhardt Jr. a little while ago. Behind them, 3rd place has just changed hands as Clint Boyer continues to march forward in that 15 car.
Yeah, he had a great run back here in March and continuing that. Looks like he's got his car pretty much where he wants it. Able to make passes on the inside, and just something we haven't seen a lot of.
I love this shot when they have the drink bottle there. It's our drink straw accelerometer.
Yeah, you can just see the G-force. That car goes in the corner and it just slings it over there.
Pretty solid run for Kansas Clint, Mike.
Yeah, the entire Michael Waltrip racing team, you could say, has had a solid run, as they did in the spring. All 3 cars at that point finished inside the top 5. Right now, 2 of them. I had an interesting conversation with Clint's crew chief, Brian Patty, today, asking him why they've been so improved this year. Obviously, he talked about Scott Miller, but he pointed to Mark Martin. He said when he speaks at our meetings or on our conference calls, everyone listens. He gives him a lot of credit for how good they are here at Bristol, especially. Caution on the racetrack.
Trouble in turn 1. Eric Almirola, who ran up in the top 2 earlier in the race, tangled up with another car and turned into the wall. He was racing in 22nd at the time, and it's yellow flag number 6. Want to say it was the 34 car he was tangled up
38,
with.
I believe,
38,
maybe.
David Gilliland.
Yeah, just not quite clear.
That was a race for 22nd place.
Yeah, you can see all the fluid coming out of the car. Looks like he busted the radiator. I don't know if he knows it or not.
And so the pit road is open. Will we have another split agenda? Oh, yeah, we will. Greg Biffle staying out, Kenseth, Kurt Busch, and a few others. But the leader, Denny Hamlin, is in, Vince.
The 29 of Kevin Harvick has over 100 laps on his left side tires, so he's going to get some fresh ones. Now they're going to put, in fact, now they're going to go for 4, so they've changed their mind. They were going to just put on left sides. Now they're going to do all 4 tires and Sunoco fuel, Dave.
Vince, since the restart, Carl Edwards lost 4 positions. They're just going to take 2 left side tires and send him on his way. Car was a little bit tight. Want to get that loosened up a little bit.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., 4 tires. Said he's really, really tight in the middle. They're going to make a chassis adjustment, put all 4 tires on it. Got to get a full Sunoco fuel. They're in a one-stop window from here. He said the car is really good. Mike.
Denny Hamlin extremely happy with his race car. Takes left side tires only. Meanwhile, the 15 team going to work on the left side of that race car as well. Clint Boyer extremely happy with the run so far. He's away in 14.7 seconds.
Hamlin first off the pit lane. But he's not going to be the race leader. Another strategy session in Thunder Valley. Less than a lap from the restart here at Bristol, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Rocketing around the world's fastest half mile. A new leader and a new strategy play as Greg Biffle goes to the #1 spot. Denny Hamlin first off the pit lane is going to restart in 15th position. Free pass at the caution. Danica Patrick on the lead lap in 27th place.
Yeah, she's doing a nice job. Got smoke up to 7th right now, too.
And Kurt Busch in 3rd after that damage earlier. Running in 3rd as Greg Biffle 16 and Matt Kenseth 17 race for the #1 spot.
Two drivers right behind them. We talked about how huge a win would be. How about for Marcus Ambrose or Kurt Busch, either one? Up inside the top 5 trying to battle to get a win here tonight.
Little bump there between the two Roush Fenway Racing Ford teammates as Kenseth tries to work that low lane and get the lead.
This is about one of 3 cars we've seen be able to utilize that bottom. Not going to be able to make it work this time, but he stayed there quite a bit. We've seen him be able to make passes like Denny Hamlin and Clint Boyer on the bottom side.
Kurt Busch 51, Brian Vickers 55. Kurt has slipped back to 6th. He's racing the Vic for that spot. And having a hard time holding on to that bottom lane.
I'm surprised that 51 is as good as it is. He's been beat around so much. Hit the wall a couple times, tore the deck lid off of it, left rear quarter panel off of it.
And remember, early in the race, if you were with us, Tony Stewart got lapped by Joey Logano, the then race leader. Stewart got a free pass under the 4th caution of the race at lap 148. Less than 100 laps later, they played the strategy, and he's looked pretty sporty.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, he did use the strategy to get up here, but I watched him that last run when he wasn't up front. His car was still a lot better than it was at the beginning of the race. Actually pretty good.
I think Joey Logano working really hard down on the bottom side. We saw this last night from him as he went on to win the nationwide race. Here again tonight as he's gotten back in traffic, really trying to make that bottom side work. Not able to pass his teammate yet, Kyle Busch.
Logano's led the most laps tonight in the 20. It's the strategy session that we've seen on the last few cautions that's put him back in the pack. Still hot up front. Biffle, Kenseth, Johnson, 1, 2, and 3.
Well, look at the front end of Johnson's car. You don't see that very often.
2 words. Bristol, baby.
Yeah.
often you see a car with damage like that that can run competitively.
That's what I love about short tracks. It kind of takes that aero factor out of it. I mean, it's not totally, it's not like it doesn't matter at all, but it does take it way out of the picture. It's really about mechanical grip. It's about the driver, about to get the car right, the crew making the right calls. Kind of take some of that technical advantage away.
While we keep an eye on the race for the lead, we keep an eye on Ryan Newman, the story there. Remember, he got involved in the wreck a little bit ago. Doc, they're going to be able to repair that car?
Well, let's ask Tony Gibson. Tony, you said to Ryan, we got to get it back here and try to get it fixed and get out. What's the status?
Well, we tried. We got it all cut apart, and it drove the frame into the motor, and man, it's hard to hear, but it's just too far gone. We couldn't fix it, not safely enough to go back out. So
what did Ryan say about the 42?
Well, he just said somebody got in the left rear of him and cut the left rear tire. The lap before that started getting really loose, and then the very next lap, it just turned around on him. So he didn't say anything about the 42 car. Just, I think we were going to spin out no matter what based off the left rear tire. We just, by the time we saw it, he had already spun, and, you know, it's a shame. Outback Steakhouse are a great sponsor. We finally got some track position to do something with it. We were a little bit tight, but we thought we'd be okay, and just misfortune. Rooting for the 14 now. He's doing pretty good.
All right, Tony Gibson. Alan?
Hi, Doc. Thanks for that update on a couple of fronts there. So Ryan Newman done for the night and had a left rear going down, perhaps, before the contact we saw when he went around and crashed. Look at this race for the lead. Biffle, Kenseth, Johnson, Ambrose, Gordon, Vickers, the top six.
See Ambrose up in there. This is one of the best oval tracks that he races on. He's had probably more success here than anywhere else. After that victory at Watkins Glen, certainly another win would put him in a very prime position for the chase.
Team playing the strategy. You see a little scarring on the right side door of that 9 car. He had a little scuff on the wall earlier. You look at how tight these standings are and all the one-win guys and all that kind of thing. This wild card thing coming down to Atlanta and Richmond, this can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, one reason we've got them all bottled up right now is we got the 16 car out there leading. He's got about 40 laps more on his tires than cars behind him. That's what's creating this little bottleneck.
Joey Logano moving a little further forward by Tony Stewart for 9th. Tell you one thing might be helping Biffle. He might be holding people up a little bit, but he's got his teammate behind him. Last thing Matt Kenseth wants to do is hit him in the back bumper and turn him around. Just across the halfway point in the Irwin Tools night race at Bristol, Greg Biffle is the race leader.
240 to go at Bristol. If you're just joining us, we've had some serious bubble trouble tonight for the guys trying to make it into the chase. Tony Stewart earlier went 1 lap down. He's up there right now, though, back in the top 11. Denny Hamlin on pit road, trouble.
Oh, man, he just gets clobbered coming out pit road. We thought it was going to mess the handling up of his car, and it really didn't. He's doing pretty good out there right now, running 9th.
This one was a big moment for Casey Kane.
Yeah, leading the race comfortably, gets in some oil there from David Reagan's car, gets in the fence and damages the right side of his car.
That took him out of the lead, and this was an even bigger moment for the guy who, coming into the race, Ryan Newman, was in wild card contention.
Yeah, we heard Ryan's crew chief, Tony Gibson, talking about him cutting down the left rear tire. He gets into Montoya, they get together, puts Ryan out of the race.
And how about Danica Patrick? Started 43rd. She's still on the lead lap, and in 27th.
Doing a great job hanging in there. She did a great job last night, logging laps tonight without damage, and that's what she needs to do.
Quality experience time for Danica Patrick. She's doing a very nice job.
So while we were away, there has been a lead change. Matt Kenseth is now out front. Here is how he got it done, getting around his teammate, Greg Biffle.
We see Biffle just slides up to the top there a little bit. Matt gets a run on him. He goes up. Greg just a little bit loose on top. Matt drives to the bottom, does a slide job up in front of him.
Highline has really been the lane of choice tonight, and that is a little bit surprising for some. So high. We expected the middle lane, but not quite that high.
It is, Nicole. It's a little controversial, too. Bruton Smith worked hard at grinding the top line of the racetrack to take that top line away. And everybody is glued to the top of the racetrack. Very few people at the very bottom, which leads to a discussion. Do we like it or not? I mean, personally, I don't like it. I like one banking angle from the bottom to the top of the racetrack. This track now has two banking angles that are up there right now on the real banked up part of the racetrack, which has got everybody glued to the top, Brad.
Yeah, the bottom line.
The old Bristol.
Yeah, the bottom line, though, throughout this race as time goes on, you're going to have to go to the bottom to pass, or you're going to have to start moving people one way or another. Right now, though, just like Rusty's saying, there's really only one fast way around this racetrack, and it's up near the wall.
That was our 5-hour energy rapid recap. A lot of different strategies playing out, Alan. It's going to be interesting.
And a couple of people, Nicole, who've been running well tonight, running into some troubles all of a sudden here. Brian Vickers and Brad Keselowski are in a little bit of difficulty as we watch this race for the lead. You see Vickers there falling in line, and a spin. It is Brad Keselowski.
Caution out. All right, listen. We hit the wall like we did the Nationwide car. The nose will probably be pushed down a little bit, get around the corner. Leaders behind you. Leaders behind you if you can catch up. Oh, I'm pretty good here, guys. We hit like Brian Scott did the Nationwide race.
So there was a race for 7th place that involved a whole gaggle of cars. Brian Vickers and Brad Keselowski were in it. Watch the 55.
Yeah, I think Vickers had a tire going down to it, just wasn't able to get going. You can see Kurt Busch get into the back of Brad Keselowski, turn him into the outside wall. That started the trouble for the two.
And so then eventually what got Keselowski turned around?
A little help from Bobby Labonte.
Almost like to get another look at that angle, because I'm not so sure he wasn't starting to go around first when he got the rest of that help.
Yeah, he may have.
Come on. All right, we're going to have more damage now. All right, we're cautioned out. All right, listen. We hit the wall like we did the Nation.
So Keselowski, who's won the last 2 straight NASCAR Sprint Cup Series races here at Bristol, has some pretty significant damage. Leader comes to pit road. Not all of the leaders, but the leader, Matt Kenseth, does come in. Dave?
Joey Logano, 7th place. He will give up. His car is too tight in the center of the corner, so the team, in addition to filling it full of fuel, they're going to go with 4 tires. They're going to make a chassis adjustment. Looks like track bar, and to loosen that up, of course, they'll go up on the track bar for Joey. Doc?
And our leader, Matt Kenseth, said he was loose when he was behind his teammate, Greg Biffle. He got around him. Now he got very tight. They're going to make a minor adjustment here. 4 tires, pull off a tearaway on the windshield so we can see, clean the grill. Worried about a little bit overheating. Some of the cars are. And now left side tires going on. Mike.
Marcos Ambrose saying the car just won't turn. He's up on the fence almost. They're going to make a chassis adjustment and a 4-tire change for Ambrose. Otherwise, his car's pretty good. Meanwhile, down pit road, the 16, Greg Biffle saying he's still sliding the nose. A 4-tire change there.
So you see those cars coming off the pit lane. Jimmy Johnson did not stop, and he will take over the race lead in the 48. We're back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Green flag in the air at Bristol. Jimmy Johnson, the race leader in the 48, contested by Jeff Gordon in the 24. Sliding wide. Denny Hamlin in the 11 digging on the bottom.
I really thought Clint Boyer starting 4th there, and that 15 car would make that work to get into 2nd and may challenge Johnson, but Boyer's car just doesn't work on that high side very well. He wants to be down on the bottom.
It's kind of the opposite of everybody else. So, stories to update you on quickly. Brian Vickers had pitted under green just before the yellow flag. He got the free pass at the caution. He's back on the lead lap. Kurt Busch speeding on the pit lane. He went from 9th back to 25th on the restart.
I think Victor's still 1 lap down. He lost 2 laps when he made that stop. He did get the free pass, but he is still 1 down.
Thank you. And he may be pitting again, we hear. He might have a loose wheel. And the first off the pit lane after the stops was Matt Kenseth, and he restarted in 11th. There's Matt as we look ahead from Carl Edwards' car. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Contact between the 9 and the 18 there.
The 3 wide action on 4 is going to work. It did.
Tony Stewart's probably looking ahead at this saying, oh, no.
Kyle Busch has got a tap from the 9 car of Ambrose. They settled all that.
Joey Logano 20, Tony Stewart in 14. That is a race for 13th and 14th. And 17 of Kenseth picking up a spot on Paul Menard. That's 8th position. Jeff Gordon continues to be all over the back bumper of Jimmy Johnson. He'll be all over him for a set of corners. Then Jimmy will pull away. Then Jeff will catch back up.
Yeah, Gordon wasn't, he ran up to the top 5 and then he fell back. And I watched him during a run back about 100 laps ago. He really moved up to the top part of the racetrack, picked up a lot of speed, and this is certainly by far the best his car's been.
Yeah, I watched that same thing, Dale. What happened was Dale Earnhardt Jr. was working the top way up top, and he was catching Gordon. I think Gordon looked in the mirror and saw how far up he was. He went up there, Gordon did, and he took off. I mean, he picked up a couple of tenths.
You saw the leaders overtaking Sam Hornish Jr. back on track after 144 laps behind the wall with repairs to his car. And while this race for the lead settles in for a second, Brad Keselowski involved in bringing out the last caution. His car went behind the wall. Doc?
They thought it was going to be a simple just reset the toe-in issue, but that's not the case. They have front-end suspension damage. They're going to have to peel part of the front end away and get it fixed. I talked to Brad a moment ago. He said, you know what? The 47 turned me, but he said, you know what? That wasn't his fault. I was just slow and in the way. I don't blame him at all. They're going to try to fix it and get him back out.
So tough night for Penske Racing. The troubles earlier for Hornish. And now Keselowski behind the wall. His bid for 3 straight wins here at Bristol will come up well short. 209 laps left to go. Jimmy Johnson, who started back in 37th spot, has persistently driven toward the front. They played a little strategy to get to the lead as well. See how our drivers are doing at AT&T's Fastest Driver Challenge tonight at Bristol. The top 4 qualifiers. Looks like Greg Biffle is running ahead of that pack. Remember to text FAST to 34763 and play AT&T's Fastest Driver Challenge, or visit AT&TFastestDriver.com. You could have a chance to win 4 Gs just by playing. Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, running 1 and 2. Gordon continuing to try and find a way around his Hendrick Motorsports teammate, but not quite finding that avenue. They are up front on a race that's featured a wild swing of pit strategies. We've got drivers on about 3 different pit stop schedules that have shuffled people from the front to the back to the middle of the pack, back to the front again, and projecting forward how it's going to turn out in the end. We'll talk about that in a minute. First, couple other people having some good runs tonight that have attracted our attention.
I think Danica's done an incredible job to get back on the lead lap. No way I thought she'd be on the lead lap at 300 laps in this race, and she's doing a really good job. Probably the best she's run all night is now.
Yeah, she's really been solid. After watching her struggle so much in practice yesterday, I thought it was going to be an extremely long night for her, but she's doing really a good job, Vince.
Yeah, she's been fighting a little bit of a loose in the center condition. They've been keeping 4 tires on her. Greg Zipadelli, working as her crew chief this weekend, said our goal is to run 500 laps. She did a great job last night in the nationwide race, finished 9th, and she's doing a nice job staying on the lead lap here in this Cup race. Her first time in a Cup car at Bristol. Mission accomplished so far, running every lap.
Also catching our eye is Kurt Busch in the 51 car. Had some contact, knocked him into the wall, knocked the entire deck lid off on that car. Had a pit road speeding penalty. This car, to the eye, just doesn't look like it's handling well, but boy, he's driving the wheels off it.
I don't know. I mean, all these drivers are having, we talked about they were going to have to drive hard tonight, but nobody could possibly drive harder than Kurt Busch here tonight. Doing a really good job in this James Spence machine.
Yeah, another one is 36 you see there, Dave Blaney, just in front of Kurt Busch. He's on another pit strategy right now, but he's been up front quite a bit tonight, has a great car. And like you say, I don't know, Alan, what this is going to mean. This pit strategy like is all over the map. I can't tell. I couldn't quite pick a winner right now on who I think is a favorite at this point.
But we do have a key number in mind. See that lap counter top of the screen as Tony Stewart starting to slip around a little bit. That lap counter top of the screen, we think when that lap counter hits 340, then you're going to see the final gambit played on the winning pit strategy.
Yeah, once everybody's finally made that last stop, you'll know where we stack up. But right now, it's just been on that split. Every time the caution comes out, we've really got about 3 schedules going on right now on the track.
I think every race I've ever been a part of or watched here, you always have a segment where you get a long green flag run, almost to that point to where you were going to have to make a green flag pit stop. With these different strategies right now, I think things are spread out here quite a bit. We may see that come into play before this is over.
Interesting. So looking back through the top 10, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, running 1 and 2. There's Denny Hamlin in third. Made some bold moves a couple of times tonight. And had that contact on pit road we thought would damage the handling of his car. Not so. Maybe one of the more impressive drives of the night tonight has come from that man, Clint Boyer.
Well, he's driven this car hard and been able to make passes, and when they've gotten off on their strategy, Clint's been able to make, or not necessarily off, but on the different strategy where he's back in the pack. He's been able to make passes on the inside, along with his teammate Martin Truex doing a great job.
Martin running in 5th position. And you drop just a touch behind him to get back to Kevin Harvick in 6th. There's the scoring serial on Kevin.
Well, the crew chief changed this week. They needed something different to shake this race team up and try to get them moving forward as the chase approaches. They're inside that top 10 right now. No victories, but a good run would go a long way, Vince.
Yeah, he says the car is a little bit tight. The magic number for them is 366. That's the lap they want to get to make their final pit stop of the night. So you see, they've still got about just under 50 laps to go for Kevin Harvick to make that final stop. Little tight, but otherwise pretty solid night for these guys, all things considered.
And running right behind Kevin Harvick, Vince, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Matt Kenseth. Jr. led the race at one point. He's been part of that strategy shuffle. That's seen him go to the front, seen him go to the middle of the pack. And right now he runs in the number 7 position.
Matt Kenseth, the highest running car that made the last stop. He's got the freshest tires on the track. Now he's run up to the bumper of Junior. See if he can make this pass.
It could really benefit Kenseth if this stays green for another 40 or 50 laps here to work his way right towards the front of the pack.
Now, just to give you an idea of some of the different pit stop schedules among the front runners, there are the top 5 and when they stop last. So Jimmy Johnson has already been 130 laps out on the racetrack, and it won't be long before he'll need to make a visit to pit road. 179 to go at Bristol. Johnson and Gordon running 1 and 2. Caution is out at Bristol. Why in a moment? Pit road is open for the leaders, Vince.
Jimmy Johnson coming in. He is the race leader. Says it's a little snug in the center. They're going to make right side tire change and also 1 round in the right rear. 1 round down in the right rear. Now they're going to change it up. Going to go to a 4 tire change for Jimmy Johnson. Also a 4 tire change for the 29 of Kevin Harvick. They're going to do it now so they don't have to take any later. Also a wedge adjustment for the 29, Doc.
Maybe the final pit stop for the 24, Jeff Gordon. He's loosened 1 tight center off. They're going to take 1 round out of the left rear, 4 tires, and top it off. Got to get it full of fuel. Mike.
last time down pit road, the 11 took just left side tires. They've got 170 laps on those right sides, so they'll take 4 this time around, trying to free Denny Hamlin up. The 15 car, Clint Boyer taking 4 tires as well. The car started loose on that last run, but tightened up as it went along.
Caution out because Kurt Busch and Regan Smith crashed. Here's a look. We're under the yellow, and we're back to Bristol after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Green flag just back in the air at Bristol. Matt Kenseth is the race leader, one of 6 who did not pit under the caution flag. Kenseth, Stewart, Ambrose, Logano, McMurray, Biffle didn't stop. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was first off the pit lane. He restarted 7th. Look at this knot.
And I can't believe we're talking about Tony Stewart in 2nd after seeing that car early in this race be so far off. They made some nice adjustments as he battles for the lead now.
And there he goes. Smoke is going to be able to hold it.
Well, he got to the line that he wanted to, so see how far Kenseth drives it in here. He couldn't get his slide job to work quite as good. It's a lot of contact.
Oh, no. There they go.
Wow. That didn't work out for either one of them. They were just arguing over space coming off 4. I don't know who won that argument.
Well, racing for the lead to damaged cars.
It's almost too early to be racing that hard for the lead, wasn't it?
It's never too early to be racing for the lead.
At Bristol?
At Bristol. And that's why I'm not sure. Yeah, I know Rusty said that he didn't like the way the racing is, like I think this gives an opportunity for more type of racing and contact what the fans, came to like here at Bristol. For a lot of the part, you have to run some single file, but we've seen that no matter where the group was, bottom or top. And I think that's only going to get wrapped up as we get closer to the end of this.
And remember, Tony Stewart, one of those drivers, because of the run of bad luck lately, down at the bottom end of the top 10 in points. And a crash and not being able to finish this race is not going to help.
Yeah, Tony's pretty well locked into the chase, but he wants to be able to stay in that top 10 to be able to carry those bonus points for the win. He's trying to go for more bonus points by getting the win here.
That was his slide job down in 1 and 2 to take the spot away from Kenseth. Now Kenseth tries to drive in hard, slides up, contact. I have to call that racing. I mean, I'm trying to throw the blame there. That's just racing. See, Kenseth does slide up into Stewart a little. Tony comes down, trying to pin him down a little bit. That creates contact that gets Kenseth sideways.
Yeah, but I thought Tony had to get down a little bit. We've talked about how just on the exit right there's not a lot of room. The groove's fairly narrow. He had to kind of keep off of that clean part of the track to stay in the groove. See right here, if he goes a little bit higher there,
yep.
I don't think he had much choice, Tony.
No, if you have to lay some blame somewhere, it's certainly the contact was created by Kenseth driving in probably a little too hard. Tony not very happy.
Whoa.
Now, gosh, looks familiar.
Well, we know what Tony thinks.
I haven't seen one of those in a while.
What are you talking about?
The whole helmet toss.
I've seen one before.
Yeah, I know. The guy sitting between us did.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Well, from racing for the lead to a damaged car for the 17, from racing for the lead to a damaged helmet and a damaged car for Tony Stewart.
Looks like the helmet held up pretty well. That's a perfect strike.
That's a nice throw.
You just used one hand, didn't you, Dale?
I'm right.
I think he's got both in. Look at him.
And the southpaw, too.
Yeah. I think
called me to the truck when I did it. I don't know if they'll talk to Tony or not.
Frustrations of racing at Bristol showing themselves tonight. Tony Stewart, strike. Well, what's next? As we restart with 161 to go at Bristol.
I can't tell you who it's going to be, but it's going to be more.
Joey Logano. Marcos Ambrose.
Drive it in.
Logano getting the lead after Stewart and Kenseth crashed, racing for the lead. There's Jeff Gordon in the 24. He is now the guy most forward in the field that made the most recent pit stop. Made a big charge in that brief burst of racing after the last restart.
Biffle won last week. He's pretty much locked in the chase, definitely. Can lock himself in tonight. The other three drivers there in the top four all have one victory, desperately needing another one.
And an add-on on that picture as we watch Kevin Harvick and Jamie McMurray 29-1. And drop back to Dale Jr. in the 88.
Yeah, Jr. just got really high up in 3 and 4, which is about as high as you can get, but he got really loose on the exit of the corner.
Big slide. As we watch this race for the lead, Tony Stewart has come from the infield care center.
He's come from it, Alan. He appears to be okay, but probably not in spirit. Describe the frustration, Tony, after having a great race car.
We weren't that great of a race car even, but we were definitely faster than Matt after that restart. And checked up twice to not run over him, and I learned my lesson there. I'm gonna run over him every chance I got from now to the end of the year, every chance I got.
You'll get that helmet back. Your aim was precise.
I don't give a crap. Hell with the helmet.
All right, Tony done for the night, guys.
Caution flag out. 36 car of Dave Blaney went up in smoke. And while we were talking to Tony Stewart, 24 of Jeff Gordon and 48 of Jimmy Johnson got bottled up. Johnson got clear, but Gordon was slipping way back all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think Gordon got in the wall. Yeah, I'm not sure that there wasn't something on the racetrack, because Gordon was going pretty good, and then all of a sudden started really slipping. This is where it all started, up in 4 coming on the exit there. He almost just had to stop.
It didn't make much contact, but it does look like something may have been on the track, and maybe that's what was something coming out of that 36 car. It ends up blowing up or something here.
Dave Blaney damaged in the accident a little while ago with Regan Smith and Kurt Busch. So Jeff Gordon falling all the way back to 10th place after being up there racing for 3rd a couple of laps ago. Not many takers on pit road, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to give up 12th spot for a stop.
Yeah, it might not be a bad move because he can make it from here, I think. On fuel, he may be planning on that being his last stop.
And
all right, come on in here. 3, 2, 1, 4 tires. 4 tires.
I'm not even sure pit road was open at that time.
I don't believe it was, no. Mistake there.
Big time.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
It'll be very costly.
I think the pit road was closed, is what they're saying.
All right, Vince.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson not close enough to the window, but they said they're going to come anyway. You never know how many yellows they're going to get, so it's just going to be right sides and fuel for the 48 of Jimmy Johnson.
Joey Logano, the race leader in, Doc.
Jeff Gordon coming in. He said there's got to be something on the racetrack. Got to be oil. I hit something. I just slid up into the wall. I wanted to just top it off and fuel. Whoa. How about the 9 car, Mike?
Ambrose saying he's loose in, loose off, a 4-tire change, and an air pressure adjustment for Ambrose, who's going for his first oval win of his career.
So another different strategy schedule here. We'll be back for the restart at Bristol. Getting toward the late stages of the Irwin Tools Night race at Bristol. Under caution for the 10th time in this race. After Tony Stewart and Matt Kenseth crashed earlier, racing for the lead, they handed the lead to Joey Logano. He's given it up for a pit stop. Highlight of the night so far, strike. And you knew he wouldn't let this go.
Oh, come on. It was Redskin Hill. That's what I thought of.
No, that's Kansas City Chiefs.
That was Kansas City, okay.
Yeah, right into the window.
Yeah, one thing I should have done was catch it when he came back at.
Jeff Gordon, first off the pit lane, is going to restart in 11th spot. Greg Biffle, the new leader, with Kevin Harvick to his inside.
Desperately trying to make that pass here early on this restart. Not going to make it happen. That's Kyle Busch.
It's getting crowded up front. Feel the heat. Turn it up.
Let's mention Dale Earnhardt Jr. did hit before the pit lane was open. Had a restart in 23rd position. Tony Stewart coming back onto the racetrack. And what a fight for the lead. Truex, 56. Back into his car, wiggling and wobbling, but he stayed in the gas.
Yeah, you know, the last time that we saw Greg Biffle out front, he held up a lot of cars. This car's not that good. Biffle's doing a great job of driving it, but he's really got them jammed up.
Championship leader after winning last Sunday at Michigan, his second victory of the season.
Oh, three wide.
Holy. Yeah. It's getting tight up front.
Truex faster, obviously, than the man he's trying to pass. But Tony Stewart and Matt Kenseth provided a lesson that there's still a lot of racing to go. And you can lose a chance to win really quickly here.
And watching Truex tonight, I haven't seen him really be able to make that pass going below. We'll see if he's able, if he's got his car good enough now to make that happen.
Kyle Busch having to give up that inside line, falls back to fourth. Denny Hamlin with a bid for second down low.
Now we've seen him be able to make passes on the bottom. Not this time.
Greg Biffle using every available inch of the racetrack, all the way up to that outside wall.
I'm telling you, he's doing a terrific job driving his race car. And nothing against him, but that's not the best car here as he slips now, though.
Used too many inches there. New leader, Martin Truex Jr. Now Denny Hamlin in second. And Biffle left to race for third with Kyle Busch.
Got just a little too high. Got into the wall. That right rear just slightly. It's all the opening that Mark Truex needed.
Now for third place with Busch and Biffle and Carl Edwards right behind them in the 99. And still a whole element element of pit strategy hanging out there on the table also. Kurt Busch has come back onto the track.
So Carl Edwards finally showing up there in the top 5. It's taken him a lot of the night to get there.
Truex has not been able to get away. He got the lead, but Denny Hamlin got through to second, and Hamlin is all over Truex's back bumper. 130 laps to go. Martin Truex Jr. out in front. The fastest stats brought to you live all race long by the new Sprint Direct Connect, part of the fastest push-to-talk experience. Upgrade to the new Dawn. Jimmy Johnson started back in 37th place. Running in 9th now, the fastest mover in this race. The fastest stats brought to you by the new Sprint Direct Connect. Upgrade to the new Dawn. Find out more at sprint.com/speed and get done. A lot of folks taking those Sprint phones and joining in on our Tweet Your Seat on Twitter.
They've had a lot of material to work with tonight.
And some names you might recognize. Ryan Blaney, Jeff Gluck, one of the reporters who covers the circuit on a weekly basis. Crash Cart Media.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's needed tonight.
And a big crowd tonight here at Bristol, seeing a race that's been very entertaining and very interesting. We've had 10 caution flags so far. We have everything from a great variety of pit strategies that have shuffled guys from the back to the front to the back all race long, to a crash among two of the sport's big stars racing for the lead and a helmet toss, to a very hard-fought go for the lead right now as Martin Truex Jr. tries to hold off Denny Hamlin for that #1 spot. Different things that have happened that impact the championship and the wild card base. Ryan Newman involved in a crash earlier tonight. And still a long way to go in this one. A little over 100 laps. Jimmy Johnson, after the most recent pit stops, is most forward of those who we think have made their final trip to the pit lane in this race.
Well, it's possible. He's right on the edge of his window. I think he's one that can possibly go to the end without another stop. And it depends on how many cautions we have between now and the end. 117 laps to go. We got plenty of time for a few more cautions. What shape is the 48 in, Vin?
The car's pretty good, but they definitely cannot make it, at least according to Chad Canals. He's told Jimmy Johnson, we definitely need some yellows, or we're going to have to come for fuel again. But save fuel at every opportunity you can. But at this point, they're looking at one more splash of fuel to get them to the end.
They're playing their strategy to count caution laps. Not unheard of when track position is so important. Will they get enough yellow flag laps? There have been plenty of them tonight. 10 caution flags. Last two races here at Bristol had 5 and 6 yellows respectively. If the sparks flying and that kind of thing is what you're after here, then there's been some of that tonight for you.
Carl Edwards just thought Greg Biffle put a slide job on him down in 3 and 4. Biffle tried to come back, but now he's going to lose a spot to Harvey.
Greg has had his hands full with that 16 car. Remember, he was leading a little while ago and slipped up just a little bit too much.
He's got the right sponsor for Bristol. He's got Bondo on the hood.
And for anybody asking what Bondo is, that's a material that's used to patch and fill the body on cars. Clint Boyer by Jimmy Johnson. 9th place there, sorry.
Been chewing on his bumper there for about 15 laps, trying to do everything that he could to get by. I think Jimmy got tired of that maybe, and if he's going to save some fuel, might be doing it now, or his car just may be going away a little bit.
And still this race for the lead. Truex Jr., 56, Hamlin, 11. Into some lap traffic now. You'll see some of the beaten and battered cars that have been involved in some of the incidents tonight. Brad Keselowski, they come up on next. He's been behind the wall earlier. 65 laps down in 30th place. After winning the last 2 straight races here at Bristol. Martin Truex Jr., speaking of the last 2 straight races, even though both of them were won by Keselowski, Truex finished 2nd and 3rd his last 2 trips here. As you watch Boyer pick up another spot, that's 8th place on Brian Vickers. Vickers has come back from 2 laps down, an unscheduled green flag pit stop. He got 2 free passes, and he's back in the top 10.
Yeah, Brian once again doing a really nice job in this 55 car, 7 for Mark Martin.
And just over 100 laps to go. What will the winning strategy be? Who will the winner be? We find out after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Looking ahead to next weekend as we run out the final laps in Bristol, the NASCAR Nationwide Series at the high-speed Atlanta Motor Speedway next Saturday, ESPN2 at 6:30 Eastern. Then next Sunday night, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series from Atlanta. Our coverage presented by Pennzoil, 6:30 Eastern on ESPN, the once-a-year race at that high-speed 1.5 miles that the drivers love so much because you can race all over it, top to bottom. Jeff Gordon, the winner there a year ago. Martin Truex Jr., the race leader, coming up on Danica Patrick to put her a lap down.
Still on the lead lap after 406 laps tonight. Fighting to stay there.
In her Sprint Cup debut here at Bristol. That's pretty good. Truex gave up that outside lane. It's going to cost him the lead.
Now Hamlin has to get by the 10. Hamlin has been able to go to the bottom and make some passes, though. You really have to set up where you decide to make that move to where you can get the drive off. See if Denny's able to do that.
Well, you said it right. He did it.
Truex gets by. So new leader now, Denny Hamlin. And he'll have lots more lap traffic just ahead to deal with. 42 Montoya, 55 Vickers for 8th place. Montoya started back in 28th place. Used a 2-tire strategy on their first stop, well actually on their first several stops, to get and maintain track position. And a nice drive tonight for the 42. Vickers has come back from 2 laps down after an unscheduled green flag stop for a tire going down. Got 2 free passes. Caution, trouble, turn 2. Casey Mears.
Left rear flag.
14. Now pit down here. Just come on the pit.
And yellow flag number 11 tonight.
Yeah, I'm coming to pit road now.
Casey started on pole tonight.
Yeah, it looked like that tire maybe had gone down as he started to enter the corner. It looked like Regan Smith maybe couldn't quite get away from him.
Keep that right front clear. Make sure we don't lose the lap, Jason.
While they try and fix up the Mears car, pit road's open for the leaders. Hamlin, Truex, Kyle Busch, and more in. Vince?
They're having a little bit of radio communication problems with Kevin Harvick in the 29, but they did make the call, right side tires only. Dave.
Kyle gives up 3rd. He will get a track bar adjustment and right side tires for a tight race car. Mike?
Denny Hamlin saying his car is getting a little bit tight as the run went on. They're going to go with left sides only. This is the second time they've done that today. Last time it worked pretty well. He's away. Meanwhile, Martin Truex Jr. on pit road. He works on right sides only. He's away.
Denny Hamlin leads off the pit lane, but he will not be the leader when the race restarts. We'll come back to the green flag. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series under caution for the 11th time at Bristol Motor Speedway. Inside of the final 100 laps, another strategy shuffle finds our ESPN in-race reporter for the night, Carl Edwards, in the race lead.
Carl, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
I got you, Dale.
Well, looks like you finally got that thing, the position you've been looking for all night. Can you keep it there?
Well, I think so. The car is real fast around the top, and we'll get the good starting spot here, so hopefully we can make it work. Problem I got is Chad told me to pit, and I didn't pit, so hopefully we got enough fuel.
All right, getting one to go. Good luck, man.
Well, there's a bit of news revealed by our in-race reporter. Carl Edwards started pretty deep in the field, 27th position. Up to the race lead, our Goodyear Superior performer. Through this point in the race, Carl Edwards. I don't know if that not pitting when the crew chief called him into pit was the hot setup, though. Jimmy Johnson did not pit as well.
All right, well, keep saving his fuel, man. We're in a very similar situation as to where we were a couple runs ago. We've actually got less laps on our tires than what we stayed on that last time. And we were running our fastest laps that last time on old tires.
81 to go. Car Regan Smith smoking. Remember, he had the contact with Casey Mears in that last incident. First off the pit lane was Denny Hamlin in the 11 car for the restart. He lined up 8th. And moving forward in that outside lane. Quick recap on the pit strategy. Edwards, Vickers, Johnson, Ambrose, Gordon, Logano, Menard did not pit under that yellow. Caution, debris, a bumper bar reported to be down in turn 1. And yellow flag number 12. Okay, so now there's the bumper bar. You're Carl Edwards, crew chief. You called him to pit last time, he didn't. Have you kind of made your bed now?
Almost. I mean, if he gets enough of these cautions, he'll make it.
There's Chad Norris.
They don't seem to be up on the wall ready to pit him. Like he may be scrambling.
So wondering if that bar came out of Regan Smith.
There's a good chance of it.
There it is. And Greg Biffle contact also. So, Casey Mears with the free pass on this caution. And let's see what happens, as pit road will be open to the lead lap cars when they reach turn number 2. By the way, side note, most cautions here in a Sprint Cup race since they reconfigured the track in 2007. Last race on the old track had 15 yellows. We're up to a dozen. Any takers on the pit lane?
Looks like Carl's staying out.
I think it's going to be kind of a quiet place. Back for the restart in a minute.
ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup at Bristol on ABC. Brought to you by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible.
Just joining us, we're in the final stages of tonight's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race at Bristol. Where you been? You missed a lot. It's been kind of an action-packed night here in Thunder Valley. Look at some of what's happened. Ryan Newman, one of the drivers fighting for a place in the chase. Brad Keselowski, also one of many with damaged race cars.
And racing for the lead, Tony Stewart and Matt Kenseth get together. A lot of damage to both of those.
And Tony, one of the drivers, while with 3 wins, would get a wild card place in the championship, in danger of falling out of the top 10, and that nice strike thrown.
They may need a new helmet in Atlanta.
Much to the delight of the big crowd here in Bristol tonight. So with all the trouble tonight, you look, Stewart just now 9 points ahead of Carl Edwards, who's leading the race. Tony's running 28th. And if for some reason Carl displaces Tony in the top 10, that puts Stewart and Casey Kane on the wild card bubble, knocks Kyle Busch out. Ryan Newman's already had troubles tonight. He's out of that picture. And we've still got 71 laps to go, and a lot can change.
A lot to be decided here.
Brian Vickers for the race lead. Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin right behind him for third. Tony Stewart did not come completely up to speed after that restart. He's headed for the pit lane. Busch, 18, Martin Truex, 56, Joey Logano, 20. All been up there fighting for the lead at one point or another tonight. Right now they're 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Matt Warrior back down on the bottom, knowing he's got to make some time trying to get back to the front to have an opportunity at this thing.
Remember one of the stories coming into the race, the track milling away, the 2 degrees of banking right at the very top of the racetrack. Drivers are using all of the concrete out there tonight. Trouble down the front, Danica Patrick.
That's unfortunate. Well, she's done a great job for 434 laps here tonight.
So far, how bad is it?
It's done.
And number 13 is unlucky for Danica Patrick. She was running
to the pits, please.
19th.
Won't go.
Gonna be a little contact here. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's real unfortunate because she did have an incredible race going to be on the lead lap at 435 lap. That was a race for position. Yeah, a lot of damage.
Front stretch wall has been an unfortunate place for Stewart Haas Racing tonight. All 3 cars hitting.
Yeah. Ryan Newman, then Tony Stewart, now Danica Patrick. '19th place lead lap after 400 laps here at Bristol tonight. And out of it.
As a driver, you worked your tail off all night long to kind of stay out of trouble, get yourself in position for a good finish or a chance at a win. But that's Bristol. That's what we come to expect here, and what the fans have come to expect. And we're seeing a lot of contact tonight.
You're going to see another helmet toss. A finger point.
Yes. can't say I blame her either. That could have been avoided.
Caution out, 13th time, Danica Patrick involved. Still 63 laps to go. Still cleaning up under the caution flag here at Bristol. Gives us a moment to look ahead on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series schedule. Next weekend, it's on to the Atlanta Motor Speedway and then the Chase deciding race at Richmond. Then we open those final 10 races to decide who'll be this year's champion at Chicagoland, New Hampshire, Dover, Talladega, and more. Join us at the track, NASCAR.com/tickets, or the number at the bottom of your screen. Of course, all of those races seen on the ESPN network or here on ABC. So Carl Edwards, last pitted at lap 325, told us earlier as our in-race reporter he was called to pit road and missed it. So how many caution flag laps do they need, Dave, to make it to the finish?
Is that the question you want asked? All right, so Chad Norris, you wanted to call him in. How much caution do you think you'll need, and do you think he's a good enough fuel saver to make it happen?
His record shows that he's pretty good at saving fuel here, so hopefully he'll do what we need to do and try to get this fast enough forward in victory lane today.
Did you have a number in mind as far as caution laps went?
Yes, and we aren't there quite yet.
He could use a few more, Alan. I believe that's the answer.
He's had 33 so far, Dave. 33 laps of yellow since the 99 pitted.
Well, I'm thinking he's going to get some more.
It's been a pattern tonight that shows that.
Yeah, it's good time to try to win, and pushing and shoving is going to get more intense here.
So 1 to go the signal here, and we'll double them up and restart next time by, which will give us 57 laps to go. Free pass on this yellow. Michael McDowell does not get him back to the lead lap. There are 22 cars on the lead lap. A number of others beaten and battered.
One of them, Brian Vickers, he was in a skirmish earlier, lost 2 laps. Here he is starting up on the front row for a chance to win.
Yeah, I'd have to say Carl's biggest problem now is that he's not the caution that they're looking for to get some laps, because they're going to be chewing on the back bumper of that Ford trying to get the lead.
I bet he doesn't give it up easy.
Denny Hamlin has been very strong a lot of the night tonight. He's got that outside lane for the restart.
Looking good for him right here. See what he can do with it.
Jimmy Johnson down in the inside lane in the white car. Here we go.
Brian Vickers drove it hard into the corner, got a good run off.
Let that lap.
He's going to get the lead.
No, not yet.
Well, for a minute.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be able to clear Edwards off too. I told you, Carl's not going to give it up easy.
Carl, that lap.
Well, Vickers is in such a tough spot right here. He knows it's going to be difficult to make this pass. He had a chance to slide up into second. That's gone now.
Edwards clears. Denny Hamlin does indeed get through the second. While we watch this on the track, we check in with Doc.
Danica Patrick has been released from the medical center. Danica, what happened with you and Regan?
Obviously, I have not seen a replay. I just got out of medical, so I would like to see it. But from what I hear, you know, we're all racing hard. This is Bristol. I think this is why people love this track, is because you see a lot of that, and you see, I think Temper's flare is usually part of the broadcast when they describe what's going to happen. And you know, it was just a bummer because I really felt like the GoDaddy car was going to get a solid, maybe top 20 finish and on the lead lap, and that wouldn't have been something that I would have thought would have happened tonight. So the team did a great job, and everything was running really smoothly. So it's a shame that we lost that. But you know, Bristol is a place where you find out who's playing fair and who's not.
She was having an impressive run there, Alan.
I like that line. Where you find out who's playing fair and who's not. So Patrick is out of the race.
I will say this about Danica. Her car was totally clean to that incident, so she was playing fair all night.
Yeah.
Brian Vickers wants the lead of this race. He did a great job. Once he slid back into third, Hamlin tried his shot at Carl Edwards. He held him off. Vickers was able to take that second spot away.
56, Truex. 88, Earnhardt Jr., 11th and 12th. Casey Kane in the 5 there, who's recovered from some earlier problems when he got in some oil put down by another car while leading the race and lost laps on pit road getting that car repaired. And Vickers again dogging Carl Edwards, trying to find a way to get by for the race lead. So you got an opening here.
He made a great move there, ran in hard. Now can he slide?
He got it. No. Oh, he almost had it.
Oh, look out! Vickers in trouble. Nice save. Wow.
He was trying to stay off of Carl Edwards. He was right there on the bumper.
That was awful safe. Settle in.
From racing for the lead back to 5th. Chance to win, maybe gone.
Yeah, and I just think up in front of that, Denny Hamlin, I believe, is settled in, saving his tires. He has pressure tires, and what Carl Edwards does, and probably a little suspect is whether Carl Edwards can make it on fuel.
Racing for the lead. Brian Vickers trying to race cleanly underneath Carl Edwards, and watch the hands inside the windshield of this 55.
You can see he's just on the back bumper cover there. Look at Vickers work the steering wheel.
That's some driving right there. Like I say, great save, too.
Very nice. And Hamlin now with a big run at Edwards. He'd been a couple of car lengths off him. Carl slipping way wide in the middle of the corners the last few laps.
Denny actually might have seen the 48 coming in his back bumper, trying to make this pass maybe before Jimmy Johnson gets to him. So just in case he isn't able to complete it, he's not going to lose that second spot again.
There's a nearly 90-lap difference in the pit stop schedules of these two cars.
Now this has been a really, really good tire that Goodyear brought here. It's allowing these cars to still run these type of speeds with that many laps on them. Hamlin's up there trying to loosen him up without hitting him, but he may have to use him up a little bit to make this pass.
There it is. Now, can he put the slide job on him? And Carl with the crossover.
Carl going to be able to put the slide job on. He's going to have to, or rub him. Here comes Johnson, maybe 3 wide before this is over.
Hamlin to the lead. .37 laps to go.
Well, Hamlin did a great job there. He just had to trust that Carl Edwards, with the big run back at his rear bumper, wasn't going to take him out. Edwards decided to try to make the pass on the inside, but it wasn't successful.
And you know, it's funny because as much as we've talked about Carl Edwards and how desperately he needs a win to get that wild card spot after Tony Stewart's troubles tonight, Carl has to play the point game also. He's only a 14-point deficit to Tony Stewart for the top 10 right now. And a lot of laps left tonight. And, of course, Atlanta and Richmond still to come. Not that I think Carl was thinking that at that moment. Let me clarify.
Yes.
Look at that. Look how tight the fight for 10th is closed up tonight. And the fight for second on the track. Jimmy Johnson with a big drive in. These guys all passing Edwards now, all pitted later than he has.
See, Brian Vickers recovered. He's right there with Jeff Gordon, trying to get back in the mix. This thing's far from over. Vickers wishing that had been that simple whenever he was trying to pass Edwards for the lead.
Yeah. So no troubles for Denny Hamlin to make it to the finish on fuel. Probably Johnson and Gordon have gotten enough caution flag laps to make it too.
Yeah, I think they're okay. Brian Vickers, though, you can see he's the one that's been out there the longest.
And we heard Carl Edwards crew chief Chad Norris tell Dave a little bit ago that he'd like a few more. Jimmy Johnson up to second, Vince, trying to close in on Hamlin.
I asked Chad Canals, the crew chief, just a few minutes ago, how are you on fuel? Are you not good enough to make it? He looked at the computer and looked back at me and then kind of shrugged his shoulders. He wasn't going to tell me, but then he came over the radio a short while later and told Jimmy Johnson, I think we're good. He almost sounded surprised when he said it. It's going to be close.
All right, Vince, a race that's seen great variety of pit stop schedules, shuffling people up and down the running order all night.
Yeah, and that's kind of the luxury of having 3 victories and up in the points. You're in the chase. You can take that kind of chance here right now. Denny Hamlin, another sitting there right now, leading this race, looking at a 3rd victory. We were talking about him possibly dropping outside the top 10, and now he would theoretically be tied for the points lead if the chase were to start.
There's Johnson racing now with Jeff Gordon for the 2nd spot as he's trying to find a way to close in on Denny Hamlin for the lead.
Yeah, I've been watching this lead, though, and Hamlin does have it, but he's not the fastest car. The 3 cars behind him are all quicker. If we had a caution, he might be in trouble.
Yeah, and he's also approaching a lot of lap traffic that may slow him down a little bit.
It's got to make you miserable when you're leading the race here, right? Seeing all those lap cars ahead.
Gosh, yeah, you just wonder what kind of break they're going to give you. Are you going to catch them at the right spot? Because it can happen just so quick. All it takes is just catch them with the wrong spot. You're out of the gas for a split second, and then you've got 2 or 3 cars on your rear bumper.
Statistics say Denny Hamlin's in good shape. But then there are those other 5 races. Very hard-fought night for Johnson in the 48, even for Gordon in the 24. It's been a hard-fought night for everybody on the racetrack. This has been a slugfest tonight. These guys have had to really fight for every position they've gained on the racetrack. Dale Jr., Casey Kane, 88 and 5, 12th and 13th. Jr. led the race earlier. And Carl Edwards really sliding back here. He's gone from leading back to 6th, and he's got 3 of them on his bumper and more. And you can see those hands working that wheel. He's really sliding around a lot. Clint Boyer going to go by. That'll be for 7th place. And Joey Logano, who led a lot of laps in this race. In fact, has led the most laps of anyone tonight. Right now back in 9th spot, trying to get 8th from Carl Edwards. Wow. Logano just barely missed as he put the slide job on Edwards. Just barely missed getting into Clint Boyer.
Boy, Edwards sideways off the corner there.
He's just out of grip.
Just hanging on.
Paul Menard, 27. Casey Kane in the 5. The big penalties issued to the 27 this week. The team appealing. So Slugger Labby, the crew chief here at the racetrack. NASCAR telling us because of things that are going on this week and rules meetings that NASCAR has already scheduled. They don't know that the appeal for the 27 will be heard yet this week, so they expect Slugger Labby probably will still be with this team at the Atlanta race next Sunday also. Martin Truex by Carl Edwards. Dale Jr. by Carl Edwards. And he's given up points that he had gained on Tony Stewart here in these last laps. Kyle Busch, Clint Boyer racing for 6th place. At a night where most everybody's had to run that outside lane to race, Clint Boyer's been one of the few that's really been making ground on the bottom.
Yeah, and it hasn't been the typical night for Kyle Busch at Bristol. I don't know if it was the left side tire or a combination that might have this team off a little bit. Exactly what it is, but we certainly have come to expect Kyle Busch to be up front battling for victories.
Had a speeding penalty earlier. Went to the back, used some strategy to get back to the front. And has been shuffled up and down the running order by the hopscotch pit stop schedules. And right now, again, fighting for 6th place with Clint Boyer and Joey Logano. Nothing happening up front. Denny Hamlin still with a clear lead on Jimmy Johnson. Johnson not able to gain any ground. And we watch the best race for position in the top 10 at the moment. What a rally for Casey Kane to that 5 car.
Yeah, he got in some oil put down when somebody busted an oil cooler. Got in the wall really hard, lost a lap fixing it. Got it back. Now he's raced his way all the way up in the top 10.
And he was leading when he got in that oil, and they'll leave tonight wondering what if.
Well, everybody's raced at Bristol and had a good car. As always was left here at some point in time thinking that very thing. What makes it so difficult to win here and what makes it so special for a driver whenever you are able to put all of it together for 500 laps and visit the victory lane and get that big trophy.
And as these drivers continue to race for positions behind race leader Denny Hamlin, we focus up front as we move to the final 5 laps. Jimmy Johnson trying to close in on Denny Hamlin. That's Carl Edwards off the pace. Chad Norris said he needed a few more.
All right, guys, here we come. 4,000. Probably don't have a tag here. 4,000.
That's going to be a tough way to end the night.
Still only here, guys. Still only.
Denny Hamlin said coming into this weekend, coming so close here at Bristol, only makes him want to win here even more. Best Bristol finish, a runner-up finish. The last 5 times he's been here have not been top 5 results. Now he's about 40 seconds away from a checkered flag here at Bristol and that huge win we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and it certainly hasn't been easy by any means, but Denny Hamlin has shown he's had one of the best cars, if not the best, all night. One of the few cars and drivers able to make some passes on the inside when they needed to.
A huge Bristol win. After a late pass for the lead, checkered flag is up. Denny Hamlin wins the night race at Bristol. In the middle of his team there. Been an interesting season for Denny Hamlin. Got a couple of wins earlier this season. One in March, one in April. Then really has been on a difficult, rocky stretch over the summer months. If you want to get things back together again and get going, why not just before it's time to run for the championship? 3rd win of the season for Denny Hamlin, Doc.
Indeed it was, and Darian Grubb up here getting congratulations from the team. Darian, gutsy call coming in left side tires, and you end up in victory lane.
Yeah, it's worked for us a couple of times. The way the wear was going and everything else, Goodyear did an awesome job with the tire they brought here. Gave us some options to be able to go out there and play, and it was a great night for Denny and the whole team. The pit crew did an awesome job. Just a great team effort and a fast race car.
Trying to hang on to the chase spot. What does this mean to you and this team now? season.
We feel like we're making up for some of those that got away earlier in the season, so this should pretty much lock us in now for the chase, and we can keep going to building our momentum and going to the chase trying to win this championship.
Arian Grubb, guys, locked in and momentum now for the chase.
And we look at the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Championship standings. 3 drivers have clinched a place in the chase with their results tonight. Greg Biffle, Jimmy Johnson, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Denny Hamlin has not actually clinched. He hasn't even officially clinched a wild card because Tony Stewart can still fall out of the top 10 and Casey Kane can still get a 3rd win at Atlanta or Richmond and not get back into the top 10. So Denny in really, 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 really good shape.
Really good shape.
Just not done yet.
Like I said, that momentum is it's a big thing at this point in the season, and they've got it going the right way. They've had some problems mechanically, had a lot of bad luck. They sure have the performance in a fast car. They have it all come together at the right time.
All right, while Denny takes a minute to get unbuckled and get the helmet off, let's hear from the runner-up tonight. Dave?
That would be Jimmy Johnson climbing from his car after a good discussion with his teammate there. Hard-fought night tonight. You finished second. How would you assess it?
Great night. I wish we could have been one spot better, but very solid effort for this Chevrolet's team. We got messed up in practice and had to start in the back and had a bad pit stall and no track position, but really had a great strategy in a fast car and made the most of it today. So very proud of this whole race team, and also very proud to have clinched. I got my clinch hat on. Glad to be locked into the chase. It's something I'm very proud of to have made it each year, and now it's time to get to work and focus on those 10 weeks.
Looks good on him. I think the competition, though, might think otherwise.
Jimmy Johnson in the hunt for championship number 6, locking in his place tonight. Denny Hamlin in victory lane with his 3rd win of this season. He's driven up on top of the building to celebrate at Bristol.
Denny Hamlin celebrating his 3rd victory of 2012. This one's a little bit different than other ones you've had. This is the night race at Bristol. What's this mean to you?
Oh, I can't even tell you. This is my biggest win. This is such a great feeling. Darian just came here with a different setup, and it just hauled the mail right from the get-go. And just been a long time since I've been this competitive at Bristol, and I can't thank everyone from FedEx enough. Mike Glenn's here, Catherine Flea, Lori Tucker, and it's been a long time since we won in front of them, so thank everyone from FedEx Ground. I got to thank Wiley X, the fans. This is the biggest crowd I've seen here in forever. Everyone from the Jordan brand, Coke, Sprint, thanks for the phones, Toyota, FedEx. It's just it's a big day. This is just a big win. I don't know how else to explain it other than it's the night race at Bristol.
And one of the things, no doubt, that makes it so huge, it puts you very much in the race for the #1 seed in the chase. Do you feel like you're peaking at the perfect time?
We're not done winning yet. Still got a few more to go.
Tell me about that pass getting by Carl Edwards. A little bit of bump and run, not exactly the old Bristol, but it certainly looked like there was some contact.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you had to do. There's the only thing you could do is slide job somebody. It was, Bruton ground the track, but you still had the old Bristol here where it's one line. You still had to knock someone out of the way to make a move, but our car worked so phenomenal on the bottom all day. We made most of our passes without touching a soul, and just I knew I had to get to the front as soon as possible. In case a caution came out, we would be able to restart first. So big day, big win. Just thank everyone from Toyota for sticking with this program.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Alan, another little interesting nugget. This is win number 200 for the number 11 in NASCAR Cup Series racing.
This one scored by Denny Hamlin. I think we started this telecast by talking about that a win at Bristol was big and huge, and we heard it from Denny Hamlin in victory lane. Greg Biffle, championship leader coming into the night, locks in a place in the chase, Doc.
Not happy about his run tonight, but Greg, you got to be happy the fact you are now locked in the chase, so that means a lot to this whole team.
Yeah, it feels really good to make the chase this year and, come out of here still leading the points. I know it doesn't mean a lot, but, man, we had a tough night. The car right from the green flag, just shoving the right front tire off of 4 here, and
I just moved around. I found some grip way up tight where my teammate Matt was running and some of the other cars. And eventually it ended up biting me like it did Casey Kane and a lot of the other guys, you know, getting the fence and knock the toe out of it. But we need a little bit of Bondo for that car. That was what the sponsor we had, Bondo Body Buddy, our filler on the car. So I think we're going to need a little bit of that.
Okay, Greg Biffle in the chase now, locked in. Dave Burns.
That'd be the same for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Finished 12th, but clinched your place in the 2012 chase. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel good about it. We worked real hard all season. I want to thank my guys. They do a good job every week, give me a good strategy. We made a little mistake and come down a close pit tonight. I don't know what we were thinking, but you know, we can't make them too often. But we had a fast car. The car was so fast at the start of the race, and just lost that track position. Couldn't get by some guys, and had fun though. I don't know what the fans thought about the race just yet, but I really enjoyed myself.
You know what? I think they'll tell us this week, right?
That's true. I'm sure they will. So I hope they enjoyed it. And the guys that didn't come, I think they missed a good race.
Hey, I know what they will like. Junior in the chase in 2012, guys.
All right, Dave, thanks. And it has been scrolling across the top of the screen, but let's show you for final time tonight the finishing order from the night race at Bristol. Denny Hamlin, the race winner.
Yeah, great night there for Brian Vickers. He comes in there with a top 5 finish on a limited schedule.
Yeah, how about Marcus Ambrose with the top 5 once again?
Martin Truex Jr. up there contesting the lead for a while, wound up with a disappointing, I'm sure, 11th place run.
And Bobby Labonte, though, a strong run for his team up in the top 15.
Greg Biffle mentioned disappointing, wound up 19th in the race tonight. And a lot of guys that had trouble. Carl Edwards ran out of fuel with 5 to go.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Casey Mears there in 21st, led a lot of the first part of this race from starting from the pole.
Matt Kenseth and Tony Stewart, they provide us a lot of action tonight.
Crashed racing for the lead. And the final finishers in the night race at Bristol. So 2 races to go until the chase. And it's on to the Atlanta Motor Speedway next weekend. NASCAR Nationwide Series, ESPN2 Saturday. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series next Sunday night on ESPN at 6:30 Eastern. Denny Hamlin, the race winner tonight in Bristol. Thanks for watching ESPN on ABC.
At Bristol, they go bang, crunch, and crash. But we just can't look away, can we?